My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. What you're going to recall here is how the entity is stalking in planes. When I am at the bus stop, they're hovering over the storefronts. They're hovering over the Chevron, the ARCO, the parking lot, engaging in U-turns, feigning a takeoff where they're at the 1801 East G Street, the Ontario Airport Inn. This is under all circumstances, not sunlight. This is engineer light, stalking. You can see, again, an object in the sky above me. This is the entertaining that environment with the people of the state. 8 NQA 450 who are pacing. while the engineer light, which is not sunlight, you can see the fake sun is low, but yet piercing through is some manifestation of sunlight, and you're looking at the shadows of objects that are projected forward. Okay, that's impossible light activity. 8YB and 485 are stalking with the government at what is 510, where they're stalking, and they're all stalking while the government is stalking you. And I've documented the fake sun over me molesting with impossible light over these venues. They're facilitating venues. This is, an organization of demons that call themselves Catholic. It's a religious organization, a facilitating venue. That's why the gang stalking Catholics are engaging in the P.O.C. CGU 3987, that's amplified noise while they're engaging in the P.O.C. Gang stalking Catholics, okay? Those are demons, in other words. That's a synonym for that. CGU 3987, that's Washington. And this is the entity that's engaging in that. You've got engineer light on your fake church. You've got the people of the state engaging in the behavioral pattern around your fake church. You're engaging in the P.O.C. and you're a demon. Okay, you know them by their deeds. That's what scripture says. License 9B SC 474 at 510. This is Palm. This is Palm Street. Don't forget this, because this is where the entity is hovering, right? And over the Stater brothers migrating as I migrate. That's already on the record. What they're doing over the Starbucks at 706 was HOLT, while they're still taking off there. Where they are, remember, maintaining plane activity on HOLT Boulevard, where Southwest Airlines is taking off on HOLT Boulevard. Where they're taking off there, that's Delta Airlines, gang stalking. And you're looking at the frequency of those flights as well while they're engaging in concentrating on placement where I'm located. Okay, this is the pattern of conduct. Gang stalking churches are going to be prosecuted like any other facilitating venue. They're acting in furtherance of murder while they claim religion in doing so. Those are of the worst type of murderers. Okay, these are the demons that cloak themselves with religion. Religion does not, by the way, justify you before the Lord God. Okay, and clearly you do not know his son, Christ Jesus, and you will be subject to the same prosecution here on earth. I'm going to prosecute you. It is currently 6:30 a.m. They're acting with the state that's maintaining frequent flights right here, and the entity is maintaining flights as though they're taking off, remember, at 1630 East Holt Boulevard, where that fake sun is remaining over me as I document. That's the P.O.C. These are demons going into a fake church to monitoring spirits, calling themselves Catholics. P.O.C. Alrighty, this is impossible light activity. Back up so you can see what is stalking as they drive through 9KXS 966. This is stalking 8D05003. This is stalking. This is the placement of engineer light, inexplicable light, while it's appearing on the outside of a facilitating venue. And it is doing so at 6:37 a.m. The people of the state are stalking the path with light. I'm already documenting these license plates. They are monitoring while you see it all over the property, and you're looking at what is inexplicable light. It is becoming increasingly brighter, coming close. Activity creation. Okay, these are demons that know who you are, and their knowledge is proven through the impossible environment that also follows you. That environment includes the conduct of the government that is following you with planes and helicopters under what is a fake sun, things like a fake moon. License 7R MW602. You're stalking inside of your home. That's a facilitating venue, not a private property where you have any sort of protection under the Constitution. Okay, this is the impossible light that's appearing out of nowhere. So just want you to see that. I just want you to see. Okay, this is supposed to be sunlight that's hitting on this third party's home over here, and this is inexplicable light. This is for gang stalking purposes. Walking through it, driving by a train. All right, starting your vehicle, all audible activity, stalking with commercial planes. This is the P.O.C. And this is where the entity is maintaining that light activity. It's all over the venue. That's an indicator regarding everything. None of this is sunlight. And it's not the sun. The entity is keeping the fake sun over F Street, over ARCO when I go to ARCO across the street, and then setting at what is the OVITT Family Community Library. So this is 503 D Street, West D Street. This is called crossing path in that environment. Gang stalking, EC25M74. And the entity is doing so while the people of the state are keeping you under surveillance where they live on behalf of the government. That's stalking in the path with light. 6 Robert Henry Robert 295. All right, and they're doing so pursuant to a pattern of conduct shared by the government. There, I want to be clear, is no explanation for what is that light that's appearing on the side of that. Okay, there's not a like a light sprinkler, if you will, a light bulb that's going to create that. There's no reflection off of a building, off of wood, off of metal. Even the fake sun hitting a car and hitting that AGL 8NDX562, they're stalking while I show you these ways of identifying and analyzing an environment. An environment where they're engaging in the P.O.C. This is the neighborhood where the entity is stalking me with commercial planes. This is where the gang stalking Catholics are at. This is where my shadow is appearing in it. Okay, this is the pattern of conduct. That's absolutely possible, and it's demonic. And you're locating defendants inside of that venue where surveillance is underway. The entity's maintaining aerial surveillance through planes and helicopters. They're doing it pursuant to gang violence that city police is engaged in. And that is the P.O.C. Yeah, that's not sunlight, and that's not the sun. That's the demons that are engaging in what is making U-turns, stalking in the sky space. While they're engaging in the pattern of conduct, the reason why they're dipping and hiding, because there's no planes that are taking off that will be hovering over this neighborhood. I've been capturing that for years. Remember what they're doing on Vine Avenue, the moment that I say, I believe it was 200 Vine Avenue, the moment that I state that they would hover over me, and then those demons do it on, like, while I'm capturing it by a podcast, because they're not thinking about at that moment. They're psychopaths and they're demons and they're stalkers. It's already on the record. This is proving that you're stalking. This is the entity that's engaged in that. So I just want to be clear. This is the fake sun that's supposedly reflecting off of a window. This is what you see at the downtown Ontario luxury apartments. The reflection of the fake sun is the of a fake sun. Okay. It is currently 6:41 a.m. That would be 7:41 during daylight savings time. The entity is maintaining, again, Los Angeles is, my shadow's even appearing on this car. But the entity is maintaining the environment through my living room window in Los Angeles at the same time when I started documenting on video, because LAPD was threatening my life, stalking me, like the Ontario International Airport and the Ontario Police Department. This is under all circumstances direct evidence. It's not circumstantial, and it's directly relevant to exposing the city that's engaging in what is criminal surveillance, and it's demonic. It's a threat to your life. This is P.O.C. and they're driving in it. Okay, 7UIN971 is intentionally doing so, and that's the conspiracy to murder you while the people of the state are aiding in that. And this is not going to be over the hillside through my living room window in Los Angeles. This is not going to be rising over any of the hotels that I stayed in 2024 during the same time. And it's also relevant. I'm just referring to the daylight savings time rule that applies as of November 2nd. All of my documentation is showing all you're doing is taking or giving away an hour, as I give you an example of how you're analyzing and witnessing what is the evidence of a fake sun and the absurd behavior that they engage in with this fake sun, such as stalking in commercial planes. The entity, Delta Airlines, Southwest Airlines, hovering, and they're engaging in what is a U-turn while they're engaging in that. And the people of the state are stalking while it's on their homes, while your shadow's projecting. Okay, that's the P.O.C. Okay, the entire neighborhood, the whole city. This is the pattern of conduct. It is 6:42 a.m. Don't forget that. P.O.C. Righty, this is P.O.C. That literally advances as I go west on Holt Boulevard. The entity is maintaining the fake sun over me at what is 750, excuse me. I took that video at 1630 East Holt Boulevard, where the entity is feigning takeoffs. Very unintelligent, because it's that which you're not maintaining, and it's also not logical with regard to taking off from the airport. But this is the airport that's proven to be stalking where I am in that environment. All of that is connected. And the entity is, while I am reminding you about Burtnick, who's gang stalking me at Palm and F Street, which this is not that either. And that's at around 7:45 a.m., 7:46 a.m. It's 6:53 a.m. The fake sun is the only thing that would advance west and then go back east to be over the Ontario Town Square, to be over the Cardenas, but I'm not going to that Cardenas, and so it's the fake sun that would engage in not being over that venue, which is proven by being over me at the town square, for example, like I documented yesterday. The entity has this fake sun over me while I'm being gang stalked by Amazon Prime, the City of Ontario, and the Ontario Police Department, if you'll recall. That was the entity terrorizing me inside of that restaurant, pacing in and out, stalking with noise, and as I come out, the Ontario Police Department is circling around the perimeter, monitoring me with the terrorists at the Ontario Village Shopping Center. And they're monitoring now. They're doing so under a fake sun. This is the entity that's doing so while they are maintaining criminal presence in the path, conspicuously stalking and gang stalking under what is the guise of employment, doing so under the guise of being patrons. And this is exposing public corruption. And there is no iteration of the natural environment, daylight savings time or not, that will make up for what I'm documenting. Remember, You have the Stater Brothers that's gang stalking through the third-party actor bearing weapons coming and picking up the companies that are analogous to what Brink Security does. They bear weapons. This is the entity communicating a threat while engaging in what is business that's on its surface appearing to have nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with you. They're doing so in the parking lot, and this is after 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, where the airport is hovering over this parking lot, stalking under a fake sun, stalking me specifically. And they do it in front of the world because everyone is also looking at what is unveiled regarding psychological torture and demons that think that they can torture and stalk you and threaten you, and that you will not be able to see that and recognize it because you don't know about the fake sun, because you don't know about the entity targeting and threatening through the behavior and even the specific actors that engage in that. Remember, I'm at that El Pollo Loco, and then I'm at the Stater Brothers where the entity is stalking by the airport. The sun is not going to be over this same parking lot, let alone over me anywhere, which is speaking to 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. That was 8, 9 hours later. I'll attach that video. This is the pattern of conduct. This is here because the bathroom inside of this building is under surveillance. Everything happening in there is private activity. Is private activity that's being publicly exposed while monitoring is underway. That's a sex act that this so-called family markets is facilitating, and I've been documenting it for years, including a fake sunset where demons are gang stalking, following as a population and just going into the grocery store to maintain activity. Psychopaths that are conspiring your murder, including through businesses. 646 West Holt Boulevard is very well aware of and knows who I am, and also with my documentation, engaging in criminal summoning as well. Okay, this is P.O.C. This is Impossible Light in the street. While you're driving in it, 8ANV801 is gang stalking you. That's the purpose of it being there. And they do it in plain sight while they believe that you don't know what they are doing. And that's supposed to create mental illness. That is not mental illness. That's not the practice of medicine. That's public corruption, however. And the entity is going to be prosecuted with all of that malice. This is P.O.C. It's currently 6:56 a.m., 7:56 a.m. outside of within daylight savings time, and none of that is going to help in court with regard to the proof of a city targeting and furtherance of murder with the gang leader, Ontario Police, who's stalking by helicopter, the sex offense of molesting with the train activity. That's P.O.C. 9HGL534. That's a demon. Now, all you're doing is calling yourself a Catholic. All you're doing is call yourself a police officer. All you're doing is calling yourself a barista of Starbucks. You're calling yourself a librarian at the OVITT Family Community Library. You're calling yourself a landscaper with Brightview. You're calling yourself an employee at the Stater Brothers. It's all under the fake sun with the same impossible conduct, okay? That's the formula for monitoring. And it is the formula for a federal prosecution for terrorism. That train activity is heard inside of Tracy Banks' apartment. It's impossible audible activity. It's demonic. It's relevant to, it's a direct indicator like the impossible light activity to their mental illness. Okay, this is mental illness. Those that eat their own defecation, they eat their own feces. This is that level of mental illness while they're stalking as a population, and they are unraveling as I expose them. 9MNA 832, gang stalking. P.O.C. at 6:57 a.m. I'll remind you about that video that's at this same Ontario village where the entity is gang stalking with the airport, targeting me at the Stater Brothers. P.O.C. Alrighty, it is 7:06 a.m. and this is following the video that you listened to. I am at 646 West Holt Boulevard, and the mentally ill work at the neighborhood grocery store. I've already documented that. And I've also documented being terrorized on the inside of the grocery store with impossible light activity. I've documented them placing stalking with impossible light activity on the inside of the grocery store. The entity is engaged in what is placing impossible light activity into the depths of that grocery store on the walls, but where, for example, the video that I have, it's above the produce area in the back of the store. This is mental illness, okay? So the entity is terrorizing me while I'm trying to speak to an employee who's monitoring me. That's a threat to my life. I'm going to prosecute civilly and criminally. But that's a threat to you and your well-being. While the entity attacks you with impossible light while you're trying to speak to them about their merchandise while they're gang stalking and making money. That's the RICO case, okay? You're not engaged in what is any lawful or constitutionally protected act by maintaining a business where you are engaging in criminal monitoring in furtherance of murder, and in doing so engaging in what is harassment and terrorism and psychological torture, and making money through what is monitoring me and the entities engaging in those are criminal acts while you're maintaining a business, while your employees are on the clock. You're gang stalking through them. None of that is protected under the law. Not any aspect of it, and every aspect of it is relevant to monitoring at the same time. I'm going to prosecute these so-called family markets. The entity is stalking me with impossible light while I speak to one of the demons. This is the mentally ill. So they're mentally ill in the OVITT Family Community Library. They're the same pattern of conduct. These demons that are stalking in the library, all they do was come to the grocery store to stalk me. They're walking around while the entity is flying engineered light inside. This is the mentally ill. This is the Nephilim. Okay? They center everything in their psychotic, demonic society around the person that they are keeping under surveillance. They are literally engaged in worship. While they are worshiping that person, you're stalking that person, you're obsessing over the person, that's worship. And it's satanic. And they do that with regard to their environment. That proves it. And they are mentally ill, as that is the pattern of conduct as I'm documenting it. And this is including Stater Brothers Markets. It is 7:08 a.m. I took pictures of those that are in my path. While I'm subject to that, you're going to prosecute for that. That's the incalculable harms regarding the ongoing suffering that you are being inflicted with while they're gang stalking you inside of the market on behalf of the gang members, the gang leader, Mike Lorenz. P.O.C. It's 7:09 a.m. That's audible activity, crossing path, gang stalking at aisle number 4, while demons are stalking under the fake sun. P.O.C. Okay, the mentally ill are engaged in the psychopathic pacing, one demon after another, while the entity amplifies noise. And the method of noise is the amplified train. Then one demon after another, after another, after another is crossing path, stalking, while they're essentially just going around the perimeter of where I'm at. I'm in aisle 4. The entity uses the sound and presence in the engineered light, and they're under the fake sun that, like I stated, is over me at this same Stater Brothers after 3 p.m., where the airport is engaged in the pattern of conduct directly. In other words, the airport's engaged in the pattern of conduct vicariously, while the demon-possessed people of the state are engaging in the state's P.O.C. The fact that I document the government gang stalking is the evidence speaking to whose criminal system it belongs to and on whose behalf are the people of the state engaging in terrorism. And you're going to be prosecuted as the gang leaders conspiring murder with the population, the people of the state. And they're all hollowed out zombies pacing around me with noise maintained inside of the store. It's psychopathic. And it's terrorism at the grocery store, which you're going to prosecute for. P.O.C. They engage in this, as I've already documented, in the bathroom. So this is what you're understanding. The sex offenders that engage in that sort of worship and demented behavior centered around the worship of your genitalia. That's beyond just wanting to stalk and surveil and keep an eye on someone. That's a sex offender, and that's a mentally ill sex offender. P.O.C. All right, you're looking at what is, if mental illness had a picture, that's what I'm capturing inside of the venue while they're all under the fake sun. And these are the demons that are stalking in their cars and flinging light on me while they're stalking as a population. They're inside of a grocery store, concentrating obsessive presence around me and the use of my devices. This is mental illness while you see them huddling, walking all around, and their actual objective is stalking, which is proven through the environment that's around, which is a scientific impossibility. This is P.O.C. It is 7:36 a.m. That's demonic. It's referred to as light activity, and it's also impossible. So if you'll see the extensive covering and the inexplicable light, there's light on the ground, and then there's the maintenance of impossible light inside the store. This is going to the effort to maintain the elements of monitoring. That's the significance of a demonic environment, so that people outside can keep your genitalia in the bathroom on the inside of this wall under surveillance, monitoring everywhere, which demons know where you're at. They're coming in and stalking. This is stalking. This isn't grocery shopping. This is stalking. And here's the fake sun. The fake sun that's over me in the afternoon at this same venue. That's impossible light activity. Sunlight is not going to be underneath, and sunlight is also not going to inexplicably be on the wall on the inside. In addition, you can see this is my shadow on the wall. These are demons, okay? These are demons. Here's a shadow on the ground, and here's another shadow on the wall. This is an iteration of the pattern of conduct, okay? The library is stalking with impossible light. The venues of the the hotels that I'm staying, stalking with impossible light. The entity, the people of the state themselves are demons who are stalking with impossible light. The government is maintaining surveillance while they are maintaining presence in that environment that is surrounding you. And it's intentionally placed. The intent is deduced from the supernatural character of it. And it's inside of the store. Okay, this is the shadow. This is P.O.C. These are demons, just so that you know, demons. Okay, and that's Ashley going out of her way to cross path. Ashley knows that she was documented. She's a demon. She's monitoring. Walking into the closet is monitoring. The closet's covered in engineer light. Gang stalking with the customers, that's the federal RICO case, okay? The federal RICO case is inherent to what is making money while you're engaged in criminal activity. And it's a sex crime to maintain a business with regard to monitoring and doing so in the private space, which is engineer light is touching all over this wall. It's impossible light activity. It's 7:44 at that. If the sun were over me at Palm and F, then it's not over the parking lot, over the habit in alignment to me aiming any. None of this is going to happen regardless of the fake sun. In addition, it's not in this location. The entity is going out of its way to make sure that they can monitor my vagina. That's how you're understanding and analyzing this. They go to very far extents to commit sex acts. Okay, you see all these boys right here, they're vagina monitoring demons on behalf of Mike Lorenz, who's going to be prosecuted for what everyone, the pattern of conduct that everyone is engaging in with that agency that went out of its way to make sure that you understand what domestic terrorism looks like in this country. And he's going to be prosecuted for that pattern of conduct. It's a threat to my life, and it's a sex crime, an inhumane one. P.O.C. It is 7:45 a.m. That's called stalking with activity. As I turn around. They're all on surveillance cameras documenting themselves, and that is P.O.C. Yeah, that's P.O.C. Okay, and with regard to the video that you just listened to, this is, again, the sex act that the targeted individual is subject to. And as you can hear in the background, I'm talking to the employee outside. They're not holding any sledgehammers. They're not engaging in any use of any boulders or anything. The entity is maintaining ongoing noise inside of the bathroom. That's vagina monitoring conduct. When I'm inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, the quiet area and on the second floor, while you're flushing the toilet, while you're in the bathroom, you're not throwing your body against the wall. You're not kicking the bathroom stalls. You're not engaging in any hammering or soldering. The entity is maintaining ongoing vagina monitoring activity, impact, loud noise. As though that is the case, it's vagina monitoring conduct, okay? Outside of the bathroom, the other sign that's speaking to what is anticipation of Erica Spencer being here. I'd want to be clear on that. It states it's out of service. That does not mean that ongoing presence is not underway inside of that blocked off entrance. Second of all, the employees are outside the bathroom in this little hallway where I've already documented impossible light activity, by the way, and the entity is maintaining what you see outside, engineered light, where nothing that you're doing on the brick wall outside of the store is even going to be heard either. The entity is maintaining ongoing noise. These are demons, and that's demonic. It's as demonic as the engineered light that I just showed you. That's impossible. You see it, though. It's impossible to hear it as well. The entity is engaged in what is stalking with regard to presence while they're monitoring, and they're interested in monitoring in a bathroom that is sexually motivated, predatory, perverted. It's also criminal. It's also relevant to the pattern of conduct where you're engaged in stalking, and you're stalking in a bathroom. The mentally ill are going to be prosecuted for their deranged and demented behaviors that are also predatory while they're engaging in things as demented as stalking with light, stalking under a fake sun, things such as maintaining noise activities in bathrooms so that you can keep others' private activities and their genitalia under surveillance while you are conspiring their murder. These are the details that are inherent to the pattern of conduct. This is what gang members that are gang stalking engage in. This is what the mentally ill practice. This is State of Brother, 646 West Holt Boulevard, the 7:46 a.m. fake sun. This is what Burtnick is lying under. He's lying regarding the people of the state. And what he's ignorant about, oh, I don't know. I just looking at my device and I was told that these are demons that know that I'm in here engaged in activity. The entity is going to be prosecuted for that. Okay. The pattern of conduct remains underway and they're engaged in what is activity creation while they're coming into the bathroom where they know that you're going to prosecute for this. It's not a matter of he said, she said. It's not a debate. The fake sun is here. You're engaging in what is, first of all, a sexually violent threat while someone is in the private space who you know is there. You're keeping them under surveillance. You're gang stalking them and maintaining ongoing disruptive, harassing noise levels while you monitor them in that bathroom. These are demons that are under the fake sun, and they're all pacing around worshiping my vagina. And they're also very hostile while they listen to me document the fact that they're monitoring my vagina. This is P.O.C. This is the sex act committed by Stater Brothers family markets. These are deceptive misnomers like gang stalking Catholics. That Catholic aspect is supposed to dissuade you from accepting in your mind that, number one, they're demons and that they're engaged in things such as gang stalking. You have heard of the boys being molested by the Catholic Church in particular, that religion being associated with pedophilia. This is relevant to the Nephilim that make up that Catholic Church that are engaging in this pattern of conduct as I'm in Ontario. It is not far-fetched. It's directly within the pattern of conduct. It is the sex crime inherent to molesting children, sexually violating them, this ongoing sexual violence inherent to the pattern of conduct. This is the Nephilim, and they pose as Catholics. They pose as religious. They pose amongst what are religious organizations. I just want to be clear on that. It's not far-fetched what the entity has been associated with regarding the little boy molesting Catholics. That's the Nephilim. That's within the P.O.C. They're pedophiles. And the Nephilim are engaged in violating children. The Nephilim are hiding amongst the religious, if you will, community, and walking with Christ Jesus, knowing him in a personal relationship, actually serving him as your Lord and Savior and repenting of your sins. That's not religion. I just want to be clear on that. Walking in obedience to what his word, what the Holy Scripture says, that's not religion in the world, in the way that this world defines it. Religion is where you, of your own volition, of your own efforts, try to justify yourself before God, which is impossible. Your religion is filthy rags before him. Okay, the only door is through Christ Jesus. Okay, and I just want to be clear on that. The entity is engaged in vagina monitoring at the in the city of Ontario at the Stater Brothers. They're trying to break into the bathroom by entering the code, and they know that I'm in here. They're also maintaining noise levels with regard to monitoring, and that's harassment. This is P.O.C. It's 7:54 a.m. Okay, you have a demon. This is a sex offender. This is a Nephilim that's stalking outside of the bathroom door. And what is the outward appearance of a sex offender stalking you outside of the bathroom door on behalf of the government? Oh, a sex offender doing so because they're waiting to use the restroom. The entity is maintaining what is people of the state at the venue. So when you're looking at the people of the state that are homeless, this is an entity that's anticipating my presence today, engaging what is presence by maintaining what are the people of the state that are homeless at the entrance, and this is the guys for pacing in and out of the bathroom. At this early morning, the entity that's using the bathroom and waiting on the bathroom, this is an entity's means of monitoring in a bathroom, and that's a sex offense, okay? Just want to be clear on that. The entity's engaging in this while the fake sun is over. This is under all circumstances the P.O.C., and they're doing so pursuant to vagina monitoring that Mike LORENZ is going to be prosecuted for. Vagina monitoring at the Open Family Community Library, vagina monitoring at all of my hotel rooms in the city of Ontario, vagina monitoring in Tracy Banks' apartment, and vagina monitoring at what is Stater Brothers, P.O.C. Hi. Here you go. Alrighty, this is the popularity of whatever it is, wherever it is that I go, and whatever it is that I'm at, including in the bathroom. And this is presence in the past. Okay. This is P.O.C. It's 8:03 a.m. And there's nothing out here that's going to be creating any loud booms. The Latina female that's in relevant position outside of the bathroom. You hear how quiet it is as I step out, and on the inside it's boom, boom, boom. Those are demons that are monitoring. And the engineer light is how you know that. They don't even have to maintain that loud noise. These are hostile demons. The Nephilim are very much enraged. While they're still monitoring my vagina, be as angry as you want, you're going to be prosecuted as a terrorist and a sex offender. License plate. Monitoring my vagina, license 9JCY324, and stalking with impossible light. And the store manager is engaged in that pattern of conduct. Ashley is engaged in that pattern of conduct. There was a store manager before this current manager
is in position now over the Stater Brothers, and I documented him engaging in the sex offense, engaging in terrorism, monitoring me as I'm at the Stater Brothers parking lot, but Stater Brothers grocery store, and it's the same pattern of conduct, just like Derek Williams, and the same pattern of conduct is underway under Mike Lorenz. 8AQF951, 9TUH983, 9PRX730. The entity is engaged in what is maintaining ongoing loud booming noises in the library, in the, the library too, in the bathroom area. That's audible activity while they're pacing in and out of the entrance. Understand that's relevant positioning when you are looking at the position of where I'm in the bathroom and where they're walking in and out of the entrance. They're monitoring while the demons are maintaining noise around me. They are monitoring my vagina, and they all know you're going to prosecute not based on intuitive knowledge. You're prosecuting based on the pattern of conduct. The entity is monitoring with regard to physical movement, and they're monitoring where they are engaging in monitoring is where they are engaging in stalking. What they are monitoring and where they are stalking is legally relevant. They are monitoring and stalking in a bathroom. And it's the government that has no legitimate interest in that, and the government has no authority under the law to do so vicariously. And this is already proven to be state action. This is the P.O.C. That's the sex crimes that are going to be recognized under federal law. It's the perpetual sex offense, and it's the evidence of mental illness. Severe mental illness that's a threat to the public. Children's genitalia are kept under surveillance while I'm being gang stalked, and the demons are exposing how they are engaging in surveillance with the government and how the government is executing that amongst a population. The engineer liked the video that you can see if you look at it, but you're listening to it in the bathroom. That is the demons pacing in and out of the entrance. They're pacing through the grocery store. They're pacing all around while demons are maintaining presence outside of the bathroom door. Oh, I have to use the bathroom. Boom, 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 trying to get in, and they are all aware that I'm in here. It's monitoring. You're going to prosecute based on the harms that a target individual is subject to. You're trying to break into the bathroom. You're maintaining loud, harassing noise while you are in real time keeping my genitalia under surveillance in everything that I'm doing, which is public information, and it's sexually violent and mentally ill conduct. It is also predatory and sexually perverted in nature, and it's while you are making money off of it. The customers are coming in to engage in that. The establishment itself is entertaining the homeless in front of their grocery store, which every other day is not okay. Okay, but they have them there because that's the guise of what is presence in the path, who's going to be hanging out in front of the entrance. That's not me. I don't do that. And I don't look anything or behave anything like these, the Nephilim that are homeless out here, okay? And neither their homelessness is not the same circumstance as my not having a place to live that this Nephilim stole from me. It's not the same at all, but nonetheless, it's relevant. You're looking at all, these are all methods. It's all tactics. They're all gang stalkers. All of them are monitoring. The entity has the homeless in front of the grocery store. They're maintaining the homeless in and out of the bathroom. They're babysitting the bathroom, pacing out of it as I go to use that bathroom. They're doing so with the employees and the patrons, pacing in and out of the entrance in that engineer light under the fake sun. And Burtnick is talking about the Nephilim, or who called him the Nephilim, talking about I was trying to break into somebody's building, some mysterious building. Doesn't know who that is, doesn't know who I am. That's all a lie under the fake sun. And as I'm showing on another day where the fake sun is over me in a different location, Burtnick is a mendacious, sex offending co-conspirator of murder, a vagina monitor. Okay, P.O.C. 8ETU 684. The immigrants in California are sex offenders. Okay? The immigrants in the state of California are sharing in sexual violence with the government. They're going to be deported on that basis. That's criminal conduct. So regardless of the inspiration of anybody making statements about a mass amount of people who are individuals and who are not necessarily sharing in criminal activity, while such racial statements can be made for bigoted purposes, with regard to the pattern of conduct that the state of California is engaging in, that is actually factual information. And so regardless of the bigoted inspiration where someone might ignorantly state what they don't know anything about, they are actually making a true statement. All of the immigrants in the state of California are sex offenders, and that is a basis to deport there. They're engaged in, moreover, domestic terrorism, and they're going to be deported for it. Okay, they're engaged in the perpetual sex offense. That's sexual violence committed as an entity, and that entity includes every single immigrant in the state of California. While I'm subject to it at the Stater Brothers in Ontario under a fake sun, speaking to the entity that's doing so in an environment is speaking to everybody in that environment. The population isn't ignorant about an ongoing inconsistent environment that's remaining over me while they're in the presence. The ongoing maintenance of what am I documenting inside of the quiet area of the library? Loud booming noises when it's supposed to be quiet. And when you walk out, everybody's acting like nothing happened and nothing. The entity, it doesn't work with regard to trying to make a target individual appear like they're imagining things when you're being documented. It doesn't work, Satan. You don't look like you're imagining anything about being stalked by the police in helicopters when you're documenting it. It doesn't work, Satan. All right. It's not the practice of medicine to criminally defame someone and then call yourself, after kidnapping them, assessing their mental state when you are the one that engaged in kidnapping upon targeting them. That's not the practice of medicine, and that does not work, Satan. This is the tactic of the system. Immigrants are being deported under all circumstances. That fiasco that I captured last night, that you witnessed regarding the impossible light, this is what the daytime version of this is. And they go into bathrooms to maintain surveillance. That's how mentally ill and perverted they are. There is no circumstance where any immigrant is staying in California where I've captured the immigrants gang stalking under the fake sun at the same address at 3 in the afternoon, and it's over me at 7:45 in the morning, and you're stalking me in the bathroom. And yes, all of you immigrants are being documented while the people of the state of all races, including you, are sharing in that pattern of conduct. While engaging in this gang violence, which is sexual violence, you're going to be deported. License 9MAH897, surveillance in the middle of the parking lot. This is for crossing a path under the fake sun. This is P.O.C. And it is currently, while this fake sun is over me, it's 8:10 a.m. Remember, the entity has the fake sun over the UPS. Okay, excuse me, I keep saying UPS. That's relevant to the fake sun that's in Kentucky, where you can see the fake sun setting. If it's here in Ontario over me, and it's here over me in Ontario in the evening, Kentucky is not under any circumstances in a natural environment, which is speaking to surveillance. And amongst this system of surveillance, they commit mass murders. They also are engaged in vagina monitoring as a community, as a city, as a government system. Sex offenders. They are the Nephilim. And they do. So with regard to the United States Postal Service, that's where the fake sun is at while they're monitoring my vagina in the bathroom of the Stater Brothers. Okay? This is P.O.C. It's 8:11 a.m. All right, Union Pacific Railroad is going to be prosecuted with regard to the demonic environment that doesn't even have anything to do with Union Pacific's use of the railroad tracks. However, they will be prosecuted with regard to what is criminal presence in the path while they do use those railroad tracks. I documented that also at the United States Postal Service, if you'll recall. The entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct through the use of what is amplified audible activity, which is harassment. And it's harassment by the government, the population of demons that are stalking you, the loud noise that surrounds you while they're molesting you with engineered light. It's not even naturally occurring, okay? This light source is demonic. It's over the United States Postal Service, reflecting off of the rear windshields of the demons that are gang stalking at 1555 East Hope Boulevard. The demons are taking off right there at 1630 East Hope Boulevard, while the entity keeps that fake sun. And what's supposed to be on the inside of that post office, that was supposedly sunlight from the sun that's over in that parking lot. But that's not the case the next day. That's how you're understanding these are demons that are not intelligent. They don't have a big picture. They focus on the right now, moment to moment, living in and stalking in a vacuum when you're prosecuting at a macro level. This is an entity that's inevitable with regard to being prosecuted. And the Union Pacific Railroad is going to be prosecuted with regard to being a means of, first of all, what is harassment as an entity, sexual violence, train activity while your vagina is being monitored, train activity while psychopathic behavior is underway, train activity while the demons are stalking in helicopter, train activity while the entity is engaged in what is criminal summoning. This is the entity that's doing so while it has nothing to do with the actual volume of the train. The sound of the train is not that which is going to be heard throughout the whole city. I've already documented this before. Literally being in traffic in my car or in a third party's car, looking at the train at the red light, and you don't hear any train activity. But yet when the entity's in the depths of the grocery store, while I'm in Tracy Banks's apartment, inside of her apartment, this is demonic. When I'm in the parking lot of Woodside Senior Apartments under the fake sun, documenting gang stalking by an apartment complex and by all of the residents, you hear what is the amplified train activity. When the entity is stalking me and monitoring me inside of my car, when I'm sleeping inside of the third party's car, Tracy Banks at Fern and G Street at the documented facilitating venue 630 North Fern Avenue, amplified train activity. This is a means of monitoring monitoring amongst the people of the state. Okay, on the roads and the highways where it is not traffic, it is surveillance. Okay, and that's speaking to how far and wide monitoring my vagina is shared by a population. Okay, the entities engaged in that Union Pacific is going to be prosecuted, and they're engaged in federal stalking on the railroad tracks. The use of the railroad tracks is relevant to interstate commerce, where they're engaging in domestic terrorism and prosecute. Okay, this is long-term documentation about that, but this is the entity, what the entity is doing with regard to the P.O.C. 9TLB 665 8HRH 710. Every gang stalker is mentally ill while they're sharing in a pattern of conduct that is unspoken and you're not supposed to be aware of. And then you're going to analyze with regard to mental illness, the malice and the delusional behavior with regard to, okay, you're caught, you're stalking, now we're going to analyze your behavior. And they engage in what is delusional conduct. And they're doing it in front of you. This is evidence not of innocence, there's no exception. They are engaged in, and this is the categorical assessment of mental illness, and you're going to mentally assess what is psychopathic, that wants to present as sane, wants to present as being some exception that is non-existent, and this is the entity that's going to the extent also it's relevant. They go to the extent to try to criminally defame the target individual when they are the ones that are walking around living, being a threat to the public, seeking to conceal their mental illness while they're serial killers by the government. These are serial killers. The entities engaging in that conduct, the mental illness, as I'm letting you know, giving you insight, their mental illness is exhibited to you while you're looking at my videos and you hear the amplified train activity. Those that you see, they're mentally ill. While you're looking at my videos and you're seeing the impossible light activity, those who you see, they're mentally ill. While I'm sitting in the library and the entity is walking around with multiple shadows, those who face you see, they're mentally ill. While the entity is stalking in things like planes and helicopters, and I'm showing you all around me, those who you see are mentally ill. It is exposing to you what is actual mental illness. While the Nephilim have been here, these are gargoyles that are hiding in meat suits. They are sick, animalistic in their impulses. They are mentally ill. They are serial killers. They are sex offenders. They are child molesters, child rapists. No exaggeration. That's where you come up with things such as stalking one person and using a helicopter, the scariest thing that you can fathom, to terrorize somebody. And you do it conspiring their murder in anticipation that they would never be able to prove that it's all about them and that you are in fact targeting them, because the demons think that they're clever, and that's because they're deceived. That's a spirit of pride and ego, and it's very much deceiving them. They're not even intelligent at all. None of this is intelligent. You're going to assess mentally. You're going to assess this. They have put themselves in mental asylums. They've put themselves in prison. They've put themselves permanently out of this country. P.O.C. It's 8:18 a.m. Sexual assault and battery by the people of the state. I'm at 226, 8 BQL 508. 7VOG 574. This is the psychopathic pacing like they do in the grocery store, like what they're doing inside of the library, like what they do outside of the library at the C Street turn circle, like what they're doing at the Ontario Town Square at that Euclid Avenue street where all that traffic, they're pacing while the entity keeps a fake sun. This is the ritualistic conduct of the Nephilim who are mentally ill, worshiping me, stalking me as I go, which is proven through the fake sun that's not over the United States Postal Service. 8UKK 654. Every demon. Okay, this neighborhood's engaged in the perpetual sex offense. They're engaged in sexual assault and battery while they're molesting, while the demons are maintaining pacing on the streets. 7NQU614. Impossible light dragging across their cars, dragging across the street, touching on my buttocks, my breasts, my stomach, my thighs, my body while they're stalking. That's the impossible light that you saw on video last night. I don't make up anything. You see them while they're moving in and out of their parking spaces? That's what's touching my body. That's not even the product of sunlight, let alone that's not the sun. We've already taken apart the whole crime scene. And they are in their homes in this neighborhood. They're creating the entities engaged in the perpetual sex offense. This is 226 Vine Avenue. License 7KBL288, 7F87 Edward 0, sexual assault and battery. TLJ9695, that's a Texas plate, sexual assault and battery. TGR4383, that's a Texas sexual assault and battery. 4VHY946, sexual assault and battery. 7XVK579, sexual assault and battery at 229 Vine Avenue. The people of the state, the fake sun is over me at your venue. It's not the sun, it's a crime scene for their gang stalking purposes where you don't have any shelter from prosecution as a terrorist that engages in the sex offense, the perpetual sex offense. License 9JBC272, sexual assault and battery. ML075 handicap, sexual assault and battery. DM05X70 paper, sexual assault and battery. 04278G3, sexual assault and battery. And you're listening to, as I read it, the entity engages in the perpetual sex offense through the masses. LOSAM03, sexual assault and battery. Sunlight's never reaching off of your car. Toyota, Nissan, none of these vehicles are equipped with light slinging devices. Will be some sort of way that perhaps this demon, Elon Musk, will be the first to come up with that with regard to what is open now. The fact that demons, the Nephilim, are monitoring and amongst what is a corrupt civilization in the U.S. But these are the demons that are engaging in what is admittedly that they're all stalking. They're all stalking while the fake sun's not over the United States Postal Service. And while they're all pacing, that's what you're giving the context. This isn't traffic. These are demons that are pacing around me, stalking as a population. And they're engaging one demon after another, after another, after another, molesting the sex offense. This is Vesta and Vine. The city of Ontario is engaging in the perpetual sex offense. This is the prosecution, in other words, bigger picture, prosecution of the government as a sex offender. Everybody in that city, all the immigrants are being deported. They're sex offenders. This is P.O.C. They have deported themselves. License 98647D2, sexual assault and battery. 9DSC741, kiss, I didn't read that one. Sexual assault and battery. They're maintaining surveillance. It's not traffic. The surveillance that's outside of your home, the surveillance that you're engaging in inside of your home, proven through what is a fake sun. Proven through what is molestation as I walk through engineer light outside of your home. This is the entity that's engaged in sexual assault and battery, P.O.C. It is currently 8:29 a.m. This is the 9DNF035, sexual assault and battery. Every home, every license plate is a means of identification. This is the city of Ontario that's engaged in sexual assault and battery. This is gang violence for which Mike LORENZ is going to be prosecuted. 8YAS044, sexual assault and battery. This is all gang violence that terrorist leader is going to be prosecuted for. It is this agency's fault with regard to the pattern of conduct that they're leading in, sharing in with the people of the state. P.O.C. in furtherance of murder at that. P.O.C.
Video regarding first of all, this is evidence of the absence of the sun over the United States Postal Service. So that's breaking down that crime scene where they're going into the United States Postal Service with engineer light on the inside. The crime scene is set, not the natural environment. The entity is stalking under a fake sun that's not over the square either. It's over me while I'm going to the square. 9CXE 568. These demons are driving while the fake sun is on the opposite side of the street over me as I'm walking here, and demons are driving in engineer light that's manifesting in the shade. This is impossible light activity because this is supposed to be over the post office. This is impossible light activity because sunlight doesn't ricochet off of buildings. This is impossible light activity because even while the fake sun moves away from what's supposed to be the illusion of the sun reflecting off of a window and at a distance light manifesting in the shade, the fake sun moves and that engineer light stays there. It has nothing to do with what is the unintelligent illusion given to you. Oh, that is the product of the sun reflecting. It's not even that. It's not the sun. And that stays there in the absence of the fake sun. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct while the fake sun's progressing as I progress down the street. Stalking. 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 This is the Nephilim. It has not been in the window of any Starbucks cafe. It has not been in alignment to any person at ARCO or CHEVRON. You're looking at what I already told you while the fake sun's over the Wells Fargo while I'm inside of OVITT Family Community Library after 5 p.m. and this fake sun is aimed in alignment to my face sitting down at computer station number 1. They're all stalking. They make a paper trail while they are on surveillance cameras using their ATMs. I'm going to prosecute them. I'm going to prosecute Wells Fargo. They're doing so with the Ontario Police Department, routinely providing what is a paper trail of terrorism by that corrupt banking institution, providing a crime scene while demons are reversing off, impossible light moving across. It has nothing to do with what is a natural environment. This is supposed to be over the United States Postal Service. And before that, it's outside of my living room window in Los Angeles at Alvarado Gardens where LAPD is gang stalking with the people of the state, just like OPD is gang stalking with the people of the state in furtherance of murder. This is the Nephilim. They're demons. They're very unintelligent. This is C Street and Euclid Avenue. This is P.O.C.
ATJK727. Let's go back a little bit. The entity is keeping the fake sun in this same manner at the intersection of HOLT and Euclid, where Chino Police, Upland Police, San Bernardino County Sheriff, and the Ontario Police are gang stalking with the people of the state by helicopter while I'm documenting them gang stalking me at this intersection. Okay, this is C Street, so this is B Street. The next one is HOLT. The fake sun, not the natural environment, would still be over me, setting at this intersection. 8 MYF 916 gang stalking with Wells Fargo, a facilitating venue. People of the state gang stalking. 9 BOZ 427. And the Nephilim are the ones that stole my laptop, my $2,500 laptop, in concert with these that were engaged in criminal summoning. Okay, you think that stealing my laptop is worth going to federal prison because that's where you're going. That's not just theft, honey. That's called the entity that's stealing from you with the intent to obstruct justice. I use that laptop to prosecute and disband those demons, the Nephilim in Ontario Police Department vehicles. This fake sun is still here after 5 p.m. in alignment to me, stalking me. Demons going into the bathrooms and stalking with those demons driving Ontario Police Department vehicles. Stalking in Ontario Police Department helicopters. As a whole obsessed population. This fake sun is on the opposite side of the Ontario Town Square. Okay? They're engaging in the pattern of conduct. The entity is doing so while they are stalking as a population while I'm documenting the fake sun remaining over me. Okay? So I just want to document, I want to show you that. And let me show you a fake sun that's going to move as I move. While the entity is proving itself, which I've already proven. The entity is going to prison. You're going to prison not only for engaging in the pattern of conduct, you're going to prison for all the years that I've already proven this case, and the entity committed kidnapping after kidnapping after kidnapping, seeking to obstruct justice. That's why Mike LORENZ is going to prison. That's why all of the immigrants in California are being deported. That's why. This case, they've been engaged in trying to murder me for years. This case has long been proven. Here's my shadow here. Here's my shadow over here. This is the pattern of conduct. This is the entity that does not have a sun over the Ontario Town Square. And it's also not over the United States Postal Service. This is speaking to what I'm documenting, that lying demon of the Ontario Police, Burtnick, at 7:45 a.m. under a fake sun. Stalking. With who? Conspiring together with the demons who are gang stalking. You're talking about you got a phone call. It's called criminal summoning. This is no iteration of any sort of sunlight. And the entity is engaging what is gang stalking, where they're maintaining, this is, remember where they're engaged in police training right here? They were gang stalking me. And they did it intentionally so they can carry their big, large guns and weapons while they're monitoring you. With the airport that was stalking right here, okay? This is the P.O.C. This is the same street where the entity keeps the fake sun as I exit the OVITT Family Community Library in the evening. This is where the fake sun is going to be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon at the OVITT Family Community Library. They committed kidnapping. They're going to prison. They're going to prison for the pattern of conduct that was proven years ago. While they're absurdly psychopathic, this is letting you know about their mental illness. This is absolutely impossible. The amplified audible activity is letting you know about their mental illness. The fact that a whole population of them, this is the Nephilim. They're not smart, they're just demons. Okay? The entities engaging in the pattern of conduct, and they're doing so with regard to exposing themselves as being mentally ill, exposing themselves as co-conspirators of murder. And you're going to prison for it. P.O.C. It is 8:43 a.m. This fake sun moves as I move. No longer over that building, moving as I move. This is the pattern of conduct. It's in this position at that Ontario Town Square at 4, 5, and 6 in the evening. It's in this position while I'm at that Ontario Town Square stalking. License 9EHK100. And if that Asian female is not a natural born citizen, you're deporting them. You're deporting all of them because they're all sharing in the conspiracy to murder. This is the exposure of the Nephilim, the mentally ill population, the co-conspirators of murder. And the government's been doing this for decades. This is P.O.C. It is 8:44 a.m.
Alrighty, it's currently 9:27 a.m. 9:26 a.m. is when I am beginning uploading onto YouTube the video evidence, the spectacular light activity that is serving to deport all of the gang stalking sex offenders who are immigrants in this state, to federally prosecute the gang leader Mike LORENZ on whose account all of this criminal violence, this sexual violence, this terrorism, this stalking by a population that's mentally sick. Okay, not just because they're stalking, but because of the way in which they engage in and commit this stalking system. This is the shared sickness by Mike LORENZ himself, while demons of that agency are stalking at 9:26 a.m. while I'm at the Ontario Town Square in the same gray helicopter that I documented yesterday. Okay, while they then stalk me and go into the library to maintain ongoing surveillance by that same agency. The entities engaging in this is, I want to be clear, the African-American Carlos, the black jeans, black top, he's going to prison. He's systematically targeting me in furtherance of murder at this town square, in Ontario, but it's typically, I'm here every morning, and so is P.O.C. and so is the Ontario Police, vicariously and directly while they're gang stalking me, while he's engaging in surveillance. You're going to commit murder with Mike LORENZ and that agency. You're going to prison, just like they are. Okay, he's gang stalking at the square, so is an overweight Latino. These are demons. They're sitting at the front facing Euclid. They're pacing back and forth. They're pacing back and forth in front of me. The demon in the orange shirt with the pajama pants on with the dog. The demon in between the alley, in between the parking garage and the downtown Ontario luxury apartments. Those are demons that are surrounding me. And they're surrounding with regard to the fake sun that's not over me at Cardenas and Church's Chicken, where the Ontario Police are stalking me by helicopter, like I documented 48 hours ago at the exact same time, 9:26 a.m. 9:27 a.m. Ontario Police are stalking me by helicopter, flying over me with Sunbelt, a domestic terrorist, not a legitimate, not an actual construction company. Because in the United States, the foreign countries, the people of the state maintain criminal surveillance through businesses. That's what Starbucks is. You create a business, the ongoing process where the city approves the construction of an airport, the construction of a police department, the placement of a fire department. This is where surveillance is underway through the same thing regarding businesses. And Sunbelt is gang stalking me. They're crossing path on that tractor. They're crossing path and stalking with them impossible light activity, Griffith Company. Doing so while demons are at the intersection, which is not over Economy Inn, where Carlos is gang stalking with that police department. And I'm capturing that. I'm subject to this while I am uploading my videos onto YouTube, okay? Where the mentally ill are always admitting that they're stalking and monitoring while they engage in the Hallmark stalking in helicopter, and they're going to prison behind their uncontrollable mental illness, which I captured on video and in images, and I capture it via podcast, okay? Those that are going to federal prison are those that represent the people of the state engaging in that. This is what a population does when they murder you, when they share in your being subject to that conspiracy to murder, like what Carlos and the rest of them are doing at the square, surveillance. They do that until they murder you. You're going to prison for that. This is exactly how they do it. I'm capturing their process and their progress in that, their process and progress in that on an ongoing basis. You're going to federal prison. P.O.C. It is currently 9:30 a.m.
Okay, this is P.O.C. And this is P.O.C. that is committed to the demons that are surrounding. While that demon drives by me right here, impossible light flashes across this wall. Those are the demons that you see on video. Okay, the population of demons that are stalking. They're doing so at nightfall last night at the bus stop. Well, that impossible light activity, which is not their headlights, creating my shadow multiplied, projected onto the wall, while they're all engaged in what are the same conduct driving south on Euclid Avenue, even when they're turning off of what will be F Street to molest me. They're doing so to commit a sex offense. They're stalking under the fake moon. And they're doing so while molestation by engineer light, which is a sex offense, is underway. They're doing so while they're monitoring. And those third-party light activity while pacing, while demons, a family full of demons, this is the Nephilim, and they're engaging in what is stalking. And this male has been engaged in surveilling me for hours at the town square with the entity that's stalking in the sky space under what is the fake sun at the same, you want to be clear, much stalking. There's no sun over the OVITT Family Community Library. Okay, when all the demons like him and his family go inside of the towns, go inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, and the fake sun's over that entrance, you're looking at them stalking. When I'm walking out and the entity keeps that fake sun over that entrance, you're looking at what is ongoing stalking. The entity's maintaining the fake sun at the same town square where I'm present at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. The entity engaged in what is deviating, keeping it over me at Stater Brothers while it's supposed to be, again, and supposed to be with regard to what the natural environment does. I'm showing you what is an unnatural environment where stalking is clearly seen and where the Nephilim are put on the map. This is Carlos, who's going to prison. This is surveillance. Playing, it's very icky for a demon to be utilizing gospel music as the form for audible activity under what is the fake sun, but this is the demon possessed. They maintain religious organizations. The Nephilim are very much posing as Catholics and Christians and believers in Christ Jesus, when Jesus is nothing other than a term that they cloak themselves, and also with regard to monitoring, okay, it's audible activity. This fake sun is over 224 North Euclid Avenue, where the entity is gang stalking me at 5 o'clock in the evening, while I'm across the street, and Carlos is over here gang stalking with the other third parties that I documented, maintaining ongoing presence in the path across the street over there, and is in the position that it's going to be while it remains on this side, and it remains back over at the square after I go to the library at 1 p.m. This is the entity that follows with the fake sun, and this is the demons who are all stalking together. This is demonic pacing, okay? That's the population that's molesting me with impossible light. This is a population engaged in the real-time conspiracy to murder, and they're being prosecuted, and so is Mike LORENZ. The entity is
keeping this fake sun. I'm capturing it over as I walk to the town square this morning. That's again no sun. That's not the sun. This is the entity that's clearly stalking under the ASIN entity of a fake sun. And it's 11:07 a.m. and they are monitoring on this device. And this is obsessive stalking shared by the demons that are pacing. That's a serial stalker in that blue Taurus. Documented gang stalking at Woodside Senior Apartments, engaging in that P.O.C. on an ongoing basis. These are the details when you're analyzing the evidence as the entity engaging in terrorism is going to be prosecuted. This is P.O.C. All right, this is again 224 North Euclid Avenue. The entity keeps the fake sun when I exit that venue where there's no sun over it right now. Okay, but Myra wants you to believe that she's merely a librarian who's not monitoring my vagina. Okay, while the co-conspirators of murder go inside of the library and maintain surveillance, just like they're outside of the library maintaining surveillance under an idle light source. This is P.O.C. This is the Nephilim maintaining aerial surveillance demons. P.O.C. This is gang violence. Okay? This is the pattern of conduct, and this is at 11:08 a.m. This is 12:08 p.m. during daylight savings time. There is no iteration where the sun is going to be in this presence, in this position over one person as well. Remember, the fake sun's over me at the OVITT Family Community Library at 8 o'clock, as I documented yesterday. The entity is keeping the fake sun. This is the absurdity. This is why you document, because this is also what you're going to use to prosecute. And terrorists are being deported. Terrorists are sex offenders. Sex offenders are being deported. They're going to prison, and they're going to be prosecuted as the terrorists that they are in this country, seeking to be in this country in order to ruin it, destroy it from the inside out. This is P.O.C. All right, here is the fake sun. There's the Ontario Fire, gang stalking. The fire department is a facilitating venue as well, where the Nephilim's maintaining a disguise, a deceptive misnomer. What is the criminal surveillance that the city of Ontario is engaged in, and so is Mike. And the fire department is crossing path while these have right here, gang stalking with minor children, doing so inside of the library, outside of a bathroom, sex offenders, okay? Those of all nationalities and those that have been granted a privilege to be here. This is a fake sun. This is evidence that I have going back to S. Patty engaged in criminal summoning at 3 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon while I'm in this same position at this same property. There is no year, there is no daylight savings time, there is no natural iteration, in other words, of this of this environment where the entity is engaging in what is a failed imitation of the natural environment where the demons are engaged in surveillance in plain sight like they are. That was the city of Ontario, the Ontario International Airport. That was the city of Ontario, the Ontario Fire Department engaged in satanic pacing while these demons are walking across the field. This is light activity when you are creating a shadow and engineered light. They're monitoring. Okay? They're doing so under clear evidence. This is not the sun that will be over the Ontario town square. This is the position it's in, ladies and gentlemen, when I'm here at 7 and 8 in the morning. And I'm standing at this wall. And the entity has it lower, shorter than below the elevation of this clock. And it's supposed to be over the town square. Okay, this is how they engage in what is exposing the demons that are gang stalking in different places. It's supposed to be at the, it's supposed to be at the OVITT Family Community Library. All right, if they're not gang stalking, that is. It's supposed to be over the Fontana Lewis Library. If they're not gang stalking in Fontana, California, it's supposed to be outside of the living room window and over the top of my head while I'm at work at Speaker Company's 1810 North Alvarado Street. If they're not gang stalking, it's supposed to be over my hotel room at Economy Inn. If they're not gang stalking, it's supposed to be what is remaining over the Ontario Police Department in order for me to capture it at some point today in the afternoon at 3 and 4 o'clock, because it's over me at 2500 South Archibald. If they're not gang stalking, then that would be the case, but it's not. And that's the evidence showing while they're tracking my steps, keeping me under surveillance, demons that conspire my murder, and they do it under a fake sun. And they expose their mental illness, they expose their criminal activity, they expose a conspiracy to murder somebody that's smarter than all of them put together. This is P.O.C. It's 11:13 a.m. where they're keeping a fake sun over 224 North Euclid Avenue. All of the evidence regarding gang stalking at the Ontario Town Square is going to be used to prosecute the state of California. And it extends back to 2018, 2019. This is P.O.C. That's called crossing path. And this is a demon that knows that I'm recording. This is mental illness. And the mental illness is exhibited not only through the environment, but the malice with which the Nephilim are targeting and the obsession with which they continuously do so now. When they're fully exposed, it's not a secret. You're not ignorantly subject to the pattern of conduct, and it's not the sun. This would not be the sun, but this is the evidence of stalking with the fake sun. Okay, you see my shadow also appearing? That's not sunlight. And that's not sunlight. This isn't sunlight either.
All right, because the sun would not be over the same location. All right, this is breaking down that illusion. When I'm here and the city of Ontario is stalking me with activity, the moment that I wake up, those are monitoring demons. And the monitoring demons are exposed. The Nephilim are put on the map. The government is going to be prosecuted. The government that's a demon-possessed population who are engaging in surveillance and furtherance of murder through the maintenance of a fake sun. It is, by the way, 11:33 a.m. Zenith over the top of my head, rising at that bus stop. This is an entity that's engaging in that. You're talking about 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, not in the window of Omnitrans, remaining here while that bus is driving north on Euclid Avenue. What I capture is the pattern of conduct on the roads and the highways because it's surveillance, not traffic. And this is legally analyzing the stalker, a threat to monitor your genitalia in the bathroom, sexual violence, to engage in what is harassment and stalking. Bigger picture, the sun's not going to be over the same city where we're sharing it with other places like Florida when the sun's in constant movement, but I'm at the same location where I'm present and it's rising over me in the morning. And I'm also what is not even 4 or 5 miles away, not even that, from the Stater Brothers where it's over my head in the parking lot. This is a pattern of conduct. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 11:34 a.m. at 536 North Euclid Avenue. It is 11:35 a.m. and that video that you are listening to is relevant to what is surveillance and what is simultaneously demonic activity that's happening within the walls of a fake church. Do not be deceived by the Nephilim who have posed as Christ followers, by the Nephilim that have intentionally hurt you and done so in the name of Jesus in order to make the name of Christ and the notion of church and his body and his word repugnant to you. That's what Satan has committed. This is the Nephilim, and they're gang stalking in a church where the music and the words that they're singing mean absolutely nothing. It's audible activity. In fact, it's blasphemous while they're engaging in the pattern of conduct, which is also demonic. It's not just criminal, it's demonic. And a demon is stalking in the path as I walk upstairs, maintaining obsessive surveillance that does not stop outside of the doors of a so-called church under the fake sun, where that sexual violence, where that mental illness, where that demon possession, yeah, it's not limited by the name of the building on the outside of it. It's exposed through the substance thereby. You're able to identify it, okay? That's the pattern of conduct, and that's in alignment with what Scripture says. You know them, and you will know them by their deeds. There's no such thing as a gang-stalking Christian. There's no such thing as a demon-possessed follower of Christ. They are mutually exclusive. P.O.C. It's 11:36 a.m. One demon in the church is letting you know that they're here. Okay, he's pacing an engineer light in operation of a communication device, maintaining presence as I go upstairs. On behalf of all the other demons that know that I'm here, their knowledge is proven through the supernatural that's over me, terrorizing me, threatening as you're going to analyze the stalker. This is P.O.C. It's 11:36 a.m. Alrighty, this is the government engaging in what is aerial surveillance, stalking me, flying above my head. This is the criminal surveillance that the Ontario International Airport maintains using commercial planes. Okay, but the Ontario International Airport maintains a code of conduct, meaning they stay on the south side of my person. And what you're paying attention to is this is the same Chevron that has the fake sun. I'm at the same street. These demons who think they're clever are gang stalking with their face, their license plates not shown. You're going to prosecute an entity. You're going to prosecute the government that's stalking with them. And this is the Nephilim under a fake sun at a documented address, 6SJG099. This is a sex offense as well, stalking with light. Lights touching all over my body at nightfall. These demons are stalking in the dark, and it's also not their headlights in the same way that this is not sunlight. The sun would not be, you're looking at these addresses at 6 and 7 in the morning. This is stalking by a population of all races, and all of the immigrants are being deported. They're all engaged in state surveillance. The state that's flying over me while the fake sun is over me. This is the evidence of criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder. P.O.C. Hardick is inside, gang stalking with all the employees, okay? This is the entity that's engaged in conduct. ARCO's over here, stalking in the path. Everybody's engaged in what is, not only is the pattern of conduct showing that they're gang stalking, but this is relevant to the sex offense committed by the masses. They're all engaged in keeping my vagina under surveillance. The sun's supposed to be over the library.
It's 12:43 p.m. The entity's keeping the fake sun over the library while I sit in there all day long, and this population goes into the library to keep me under surveillance to pace, just like this. This is pacing. It's not traffic. This is surveillance. License 9SED614. And they think their facial expression, not talking to you, looking the opposite direction, acting like it's not happening, they're going to be diagnosed for that behavior that is absurdly demented. This is the pattern of conduct. This is the proof of their mental illness and their criminal activity, not their facial expression. But I will prosecute you for everything coming out of your face that's speaking to an ongoing additional threat. P.O.C. It's 12:44 p.m.
All right, and the fake sun, just like it is at 6 and 7 in the morning when I go to the Ontario Town Square, has remained over me after having been at the Ontario Town Square, after having coming from a different direction also, and the fake sun is traveling along Vesta and Vine and C Street, and totally departing from being anywhere over Cardenas on Holt, which would be east of me, and remaining over the square when it's over me at Church's Chicken, where Ontario police are proven to be stalking specifically me, while that fake sun is over that Church's Chicken, where everybody, including the security guard of the Ovitt Family Community Library, is stalking, while that fake sun is not over that entrance. And as I walk toward this venue, that fake sun is moving as I move from the Chevron. That's the direction I'm walking in the morning. From that F Street in Euclid, you can see the City of Ontario. The leaf blower, that's audible activity. Fake sun over the same entrance. Demons, pacing, that's Satan that likes to babysit me. Make sure that somebody's present in the bathroom. That's what Satan likes to do outside of the bathroom. Okay? While Satan is keeping everything going on in the bathroom under surveillance as a whole population of demons. Sex offenders like license plate 8JIL935. A psychopath, mentally ill, impossible light moves across the curb while that sex offender is stalking as a population. Okay? This gorilla face demon, heavily documented with no license plate, because he knows that he's been documented, and that's the one that's going to prison. Okay? Engaging in the pattern of conduct is routinely engaged in vagina monitoring, and the Ontario police are gang stalking with him while he bears no license plate. The entity's going to prison. You're not getting away with anything. This is exactly what Mike LORENZ is going to prison for. This is how you're catching a domestic terrorist leader conspiring the murder of an American citizen when he would like to be viewed as a police chief, engaging in law enforcement. And it's far from that, as the fake sun documentation proves about that agency and that agency's co-defendant, the City of Ontario, the people of the state. Okay? And the entities engaging in this pattern of conduct while the fake sun moves from Chevron just like it does at 7 in the morning, where, in other words, the natural environment would never include that. How is it in Florida at the same time? It's not. This is what you're understanding. It's not. And that's a prosecution of a domestic terrorist leader. That's a prosecution of a conspirator to murder. The state of California, 8FCX167. This old biddy with white hair can barely hold up her head, liver spots, crusty skin and all. Gang stalking, impossible light, fake sun, conspiring murder. License plate, EF34P81, black Tesla. This is a male, looks like a fake mustache with a black and white cap on, and is monitoring me. The fact that he is stalking me is based on the impossible light activity that's going in my direction, in front of that demon's car. The impossible light activity is demonic activity that I've shown you. The demonic activity that's right in front of your face. The demonic activity that they're practicing and letting you know that they are the Nephilim. Okay? This is P.O.C. While you see the fake sun, that's demonic activity. They're letting you know that they're the Nephilim. The Nephilim are being prosecuted for conspiring murder. They've been murdering people in this country. They've been murdering people with those that have been granted the privilege to be in this country, while the Nephilim from other parts of the world come and immigrate to the United States. This is the P.O.C. and the entities engaging in this while it is being documented. That's relevant to terrorist leaders like Mike LORENZ and that agency. The audacity to engage in conspiring your murder in this manner in front of the world. That's how determined you are to murder somebody. The federal judge is going to note that, cognizant of every detail. P.O.C. Crossing path, light activity. License 67305F4, Latino male. License plate 1497520. Ontario Montclair School District, demon, flying an American flag, showing you that American citizens, the United States, is a terrorist regime, or that's a demon that is, again, defecating on the United States, the flag, and what that symbol is for. You decide. You decide. This is the P.O.C. The fake sun is in a position speaking to nothing other than surveillance, like I stated. It's not over the entrance when I'm at the Ontario Town Square during the business hours, where every other morning, like they will tomorrow, like you forgot, like the federal investigation just paused and everybody, they forgot everything that document. These are the delusional psychopaths who are following the leader, who's a federal prosecutor, putting the co-conspirators of murder, co-conspirators of murder in prison and in asylums where they belong. That's exactly where they belong. Okay, it's 12:56 p.m. The fake sun is here. This is government. This is all state action while the entity engages in stalking. Don't forget, with planes, with fire trucks, with police vehicles, with helicopters. That's the pattern of conduct that the state is engaging in with the population of demons. License 5 FAB 169, Latino male, gang stalking, fake sun, and that's on behalf of the government. The 280 North Lemon Apartments, they're a population of the elderly, just like at Alvarado Gardens, just like at Woodside Senior Apartments, monitoring with a demon, maintaining what is peculiarized light, conspicuous stalking on behalf of the state. And these demons are pacing to that under a fake sun that's not in Florida. Capturing images of that. License 8FWH854. Doing so while they're maintaining that pattern of conduct. And this demon that's engaged in conspicuous stalking, this is what Lyft and Uber is engaging at Starbucks last night. License 8XGW960. And the demon that's engaged, I want to be clear, stalking in the path with light activity, JDN, heart, JLN. Stalking in the path with light activity, that's facilitation. This is what businesses do. This is what the entity does. A tow truck coming to pick up is an iteration, a malicious iteration of the same P.O.C. Demon stalking with light. License plate 9FMR536. I want to be clear. You're dealing with demons and co-conspirators of murder. Do not feel sorry for elderly people that are going to be homeless. Don't feel sorry for elderly people that are going to prison. Don't feel sorry for elderly people that are going to be displaced. They're going to be deported out of this country. And whoever they have to, that's not for us. This is judgment. And this is something that even at their old age, they are not repenting from. And they are engaging in the same unlawful conduct while they witness that exposure. Don't feel sorry for them. They're engaging in that pattern of conduct. They've decided what they want at their old age. Okay? That's the pattern of conduct, and the entity is going to be subject to the same exact treatment under federal law. Oh, you're 85 plus and you need government assistance because you can't walk and you can't breathe? I want to be clear, that didn't stop them from engaging in conspiring an American citizen's murder. It didn't stop them from pacing and stalking with light activity. It does not stop the threat that another American citizen has a right to not be subject to. And in the same manner, the law is the law. A documented terrorist is not getting any government assistance. You're going to need to figure out how to pay for that prescription. You're going to need to figure out how to pay for your rent. You're going to need to figure out where you're going to live when you can't get past a background check after, unless you're subject to prison, and then you're going to deal with those problems when you get out. But those are their problems. And you're going to have to figure out how you're going to support yourself when you're shipped back to wherever Mr. Trump's administration has you shipped to, because I hear that it's not even necessarily the place of origin where you came from. All right, but these are the things that the entity is going to be subject to, and I just want to be clear. You need to understand what they've been doing, murdering people, doing so with impunity. Okay, they are satiated. They're gratified by the entity stalking me by helicopter. You think that that's funny, but you're going to need somebody to pay for your prescription. Okay, this is not rejoicing and suffering, but this is justice that's coming, and they don't think about that. This is the Nephilim. These are demons. They're mentally ill. They're not only mentally ill by their conduct, they're mentally ill in the fact that they don't appreciate what's the outcome of what they've done to themselves when they thought they were doing it to me. No, I'm here to expose you. I'm here to prosecute you. And that treatment under the law is not going to change. I don't care how old and crusty you are. You can count your liver spots. The federal law does not care. Okay? It's going to fall down on everybody equally. This is P.O.C. As you can hear, it's 1 p.m. and the fake sun is over me. And the entity's engaging in surveillance inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. Dylan with Securitas is under the fake sun at 10 o'clock in the morning. And that fake sun that remains over me upon my arrival to this venue, where this same entity, go ahead, is engaged in surveillance with that state. P.O.C. It's 1 p.m.
All right, the ongoing demonic activity, it's all harassment tactics by an entity that's obsessively stalking. The entity is hosting the facilitating venue. This is all Satan. So Satan is amongst a population of people that are stalking together as you're going to prosecute it. And the entity is engaged in stalking through the computers surrounding me. And this is the supernatural inside. It's demonic activity. The entity that's stalking at computer stations are engaging what is ongoing stalking in the path while ongoing vibration, shaking, earthquake conduct surrounds me. And these are demons that are monitoring. They also do that with regard to wanting to harass while you're documenting them. These are the demons that are sitting around monitoring my vagina. So these are sex offenders and psychopaths who are engaged in harassment, which you're going to prosecute for. And literally the employee schedule, the work schedule, is the basis for criminal presence on the job, which is systematic surveillance and furtherance of murder. And that is P.O.C. in addition to the fact that this entity engaged in kidnapping. But I want to document that the entity is engaging in this through the population that's gang stalking at the Ontario Town Square. That's surveillance. Where the sun's not over the entrance of this library, where the fake sun moves to be over me at this entrance for 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 5 hours after I captured at 8 o'clock in the morning yesterday. They're stalking. So these are demons, and the demonic activity is relevant to prosecuting and diagnosing mental illness. That's how legally the demonic activity is going to be applied to a prosecution for domestic terrorism. They're mentally ill behaviors. Okay, it's 1:45 p.m. This is P.O.C.
All right, stalking with energy by flushing the moment I start recording. This is the entity that is under the 4 p.m. fake sun monitoring in a bathroom on behalf of Mike Lorenz. Just to be clear on that. This is Mike Lorenz that's going to be prosecuted as a sex offender. And the gang members are in the parking lot, pacing around the entrance. You have Dylan and the rest of them that are monitoring, wearing a Securitas uniform, and a sex offender enters in on behalf of all of that population, keeping the fake sun over the same block over me while they come in because they're all worshiping my vagina. Okay, that's 3:56. The demon flushes the toilet while that demon knows that I pressed record. That's mental illness. That's also the sex offender that's conspiring murder. And Mike Lorenz is being prosecuted with the details of sexual violence that he is leading in the city of Ontario in furtherance of murdering me. This is P.O.C. It's 3:56 at the OVITT Family Community Library where the fake sun remains as well. I just want to be clear. Yeah, the demon runs in to be next to me. This is the entity that's just engaging in what is, she's calling us a sex offender. Let's go in there and just run in and run out. Doesn't wash their hands, flushes as I record, runs out the bathroom. Okay, they also know that they're being documented. That's also relevant to that. But the purpose is for a psychopath to come in and pace in the light, to be next to me, to maintain noise while they know that I'm touching my own genitalia, while they know that whatever's going on, they want to stalk with noise. That's a sex offender. That's the mental illness that you need to know exists in people who are demon possessed, who are aware of your genitalia, aware of your personal and private information, not only on communication devices, but between your legs. Okay, Mike Lorenz by name is going to be prosecuted as a sex offender and as a terrorist and a co-conspirator of murder amongst an entity. Because that agency is the one that's maintaining helicopter activity while demons on that agency's behalf come into a bathroom to stalk me. That's what's relevant behind the engineered light inside of this library, the fake sun that's still remaining, the psychopathic molestation with impossible light, following me, chasing me into bathrooms. P.O.C. It's 3:58 p.m. Alrighty, and remember, when I walk out of the venue, UPS is gang stalking, monitoring my vagina with the demons that pace in to maintain surveillance and then hover over me and around me, terrorizing and threatening my life under a fake sun, as I've documented at 4 p.m., at 5 p.m., where that airport is sharing in the sex act of bathroom monitoring. Okay, and that's again the prosecution of terrorists who are engaging in sexual crimes relevant to the sexual perversion of a population of demons who conspire your murder, and they engage in practice sexual violence, inflicting that upon an American citizen secretly because it's an unspoken system before they murder that person. Okay, and a lot of times they're not even aware of it, and if they are, the entity is engaging in that which has never been proven before. So this is relevant to that. Have a good night, Taylor. See ya. Yeah, she's under the fake sun at 8:55 a.m. You'll recall she's monitoring my vagina with the sex offender that goes inside of that bathroom. And Taylor's going to be prosecuted as the sex offender that she is. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. No, that's fine. Thank you. That's a vagina monitoring demon. Holding the door is light activity and presence in the path under the fake sun. Okay? And the entities engaged in that on behalf of the gang stalking demons who are monitoring with Taylor. Taylor's going to be prosecuted as a sex offender. She's not even 30 yet. And the demon possessed are under 18. Okay? They're maintaining surveillance at the entrance doors of the library. This sex offender's been following all day long with the black t-shirt on. He's engaged in the pattern of conduct. He's engaging in a lot of documented federal offenses for which he's going to be prosecuted. This is the entity that acts with a population that engages in more, as you document, that's relevant to their mental illness, in addition to them stalking with things like a fake sun and an engineer light. Okay, Taylor is again gang stalking at the OVITT Family Community Library for the duration of her work schedule. She's doing so with employees. She's doing so while keeping my vagina under surveillance with a bunch of perverts. And they're all doing so as an agency to the Ontario Police Department, fully engaged in that documented pattern of conduct, which includes keeping my genitalia under surveillance, which is the disbanding of an agency engaged in criminal surveillance, not law enforcement. There is absolutely nothing relevant to my vagina that Mike Lorenz should be keeping under surveillance, and that's what he's doing. And that's already proven. That's not a matter of going back and forth and debating or anything. It's already proven, and those demons are engaging in that with regard to sexual violence and obsession with my genitalia as a population of demons, light-slinging gargoyles who are exposed as sex offenders, and they give birth to children. They're engaging in what is gang stalking with children. They are a threat to those children who they make sex offenders as well, who they share in domestic terrorism as well, whom they engage in what is conspiring the murder of another while they are holding it in custody of children at places like the OVITT Family Community Library, where the sex offenders are monitoring. This is Dylan. He engaged in this last Sunday. You're looking at impossible light activity. Dylan's going to prison, okay? This is the P.O.C. Dylan's mentally ill as well. You're looking at impossible light on the ground while he's pacing under the guise of wearing a uniform for Securitas. That's no form. I'm going to show you the fake sun where Dylan is gang stalking. Dylan's engaged in regularly monitoring my vagina, and Dylan's a psychopath that's engaging, acting like he's not monitoring. There's no act, however. There's the fake sun right there. The fake sun's in the same position it was this morning over the Wells Fargo. Okay, that's Securitas and the third party wearing that Securitas uniform being prosecuted for conspiring my murder by including the sex act of monitoring my vagina. Okay, this is the P.O.C. This entity is engaging in that while Dylan opens the door. The ongoing molestation with impossible light, which is committed in furtherance of murder. It's relevant to monitoring. Monitoring is occurring by the government in furtherance of murder. It's also a sex offense that's inflicting harm regarding a threat to your well-being. Okay, this is P.O.C. The entity's engaging in that, and while he's engaging in that, this is again relevant to the vagina monitoring that he just committed in that bathroom with criminal presence in that bathroom stall. Okay, so I just want to be clear. They are exposing themselves. Dylan is the Caucasian male that's wearing the Securitas uniform in relevant position while the fake sun's in the same position it was over my head this morning at the Wells Fargo. That's the unintelligent illusion. And Dylan is also very unintelligent by touching me with impossible light while he opens an entrance door, stalking in the path, in furtherance of murder, which is automatic federal case, okay? But he's mentally ill, and the demon possessed have engaged in what is their outdated tactics on me. So resorting to more violence while I'm documenting to prosecute you, means enhanced prison time. That means additional federal charges. You're not stopping anything. There's no blocking or stopping, or you're not getting out of this and you're getting more. It's going to be worse. It's intensifying. License 9 VEJ 722, monitoring my vagina with the Ontario Police. Homosexual predators, subject to what is deportation, them, and if not them, their family members. The entire entity is going to be subject to all of those federal policies. 6 ZBK 964, monitoring my vagina as an entity. License 9 TES 985, monitoring my vagina, an Asian female, an elderly Asian female in the back seat. 8 WKV 844, monitoring my vagina, stalking at the Ontario Town Square where the fake sun was this morning. That's what I told you was going to happen. The fake sun's in the same position it was this morning. License plate 7NHZ 712, monitoring my vagina as an entity. So was BETHEL Congregation. So was CHEVRON, Hardik. That's still gang stalking at 506 North Euclid Avenue, monitoring my vagina and knows the status of it is gang stalking me while a sex offender enters in on behalf of an entity that I'm showing you is stalking me altogether while a fake sun remains on the same block where it is rising over me at 537 North Euclid Avenue. Those are the millions of sex offenders that conspire. This is government action. That's the airport, that's the fire department, that's the police department that I've all documented with regard to engaging in targeting me, and they're all sharing a condition. This is the Nephilim. All right, the Nephilim that have maintained the Ontario Fire Department, they're being shut down. The Nephilim that have been maintaining the Ontario Police Department, they're being disbanded, and they're done with law enforcement. They're never, and a ratio of them are going to prison. If I documented you, you're listening to me tell you're going to prison. This is what's happening to you, and you're watching me wrap up that case against you every day. And blocking some sort of podcast on YouTube is not stopping it. You're going to prison. It's all over the internet. You're going to federal prison while you're stalking in the bathroom vicariously, because that's what you're doing, whether you understand how this is going to be prosecuted because you're an ignoramus that doesn't understand the law. You're going to be prosecuted. You're going to prison. The Nephilim aren't maintaining a police department. Gang stalking is Amazon, Impossible Lights moving inside of that parking garage. And this is a male, license 8115663. Gang stalking under the fake sun that's reflecting. Let me show you this right here. This is P.O.C. Amazon is gang stalking. The fake sun is over this building at 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning. The fake sun is reflecting off of that building. That's the same pattern of conduct. Amazon's engaged in demonstrating mental illness while a demon operates that vehicle. Amazon is exposing the fact that it's corrupt while a demon is operating its vehicles, engaging in a state's pattern of conduct. That's how you're logically analyzing the supernatural. And while they drive by, crossing path, gang stalking, under the fake sun, evident through what is reflecting off of a building that is over me at 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock in the morning, the entity is stalking. Impossible Light moved all through that parking garage. And you've also seen the evidence already of what Amazon is, as I'm narrating it on my podcast. Amazon is targeting me while that's happening. Amazon's been targeting me for years. Amazon also knows that. I just referred to video of them targeting me with the Ontario Police Department. Amazon's engaged in the documented pattern with regard to Title 18 federal stalking. Not coincidentally targeting me again as I refer to evidence, bring up evidence, address evidence that they're targeting me in furtherance of murdering me. 8FWH854. Bezos is a terrorist leader in the United States. He makes money. How did I tell you that those across the globe are engaging in surveillance and targeting American citizens, opening up a business in the United States? That's what Starbucks is. That's what this library is. That's what this apartment complex is. 6ZTY102. P.O.C. Driving here and driving under the shade will never cause light to shoot backwards into the depths of a parking garage. That's terrorism that I'm going to prosecute Amazon for, and it's not a matter of he said, she said, or imagining anything. The documentation of Amazon systematically targeting and sexually violating me while demons operate those commercial vehicles, making money while gang stalking me in furtherance of murder, it's already on the record. It's already on the record. Okay, and they're doing so pursuant to Title 18. Refer to the video of the entity gang stalking me at Stater Brothers this morning, because in those videos I'm referring to October 13, 2025, where Amazon Prime is gang stalking me with the agency that's stalking in the bathroom by the people of the state. And Amazon is gang stalking in that video. You're not coincidentally engaged in that. I've documented this pattern. There are no coincidences under a fake sun that's in the same position. It was reflecting off of the window. See how it rapidly changes, but yet it's not changing so much that it's still here at the same venue at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, at 10 o'clock in the morning, at 8 o'clock in the morning. This is an entity that's engaged in that. That's a psychopath that's in there listening to me document sitting in that vehicle. I'm gonna prosecute Bezos. He's a terrorist leader. As you're understanding how domestic terrorism is underway in the United States, they're driving out of the parking garage, driving an engineer light. That parking garage that's filled with engineer light, which I've shown you. It's the P.O.C. It's currently 4:09 p.m. I'm going to prosecute Amazon for threatening my life and conspiring my murder and engaging in that for years. P.O.C. That's the engineer light they're driving in. I'm going to go ahead and conclude the video with the fake sun. The sound of traffic is because I'm moving. And this is the fake sun in the same position it was. This is the illusion where Amazon is stalking in the path. That's a demon that just holds a package and bears a logo. You're going to prosecute that logo. You're going to prosecute for that malice. They're driving in engineer light. These are demons that just don't have a logo. That's all Impossible Light. It's not sunlight. This is not the sun. It never went to Florida. It never exceeded beyond this street. And this is where the fake sun is this morning when I'm at this intersection coming from Stater Brothers. Pattern of conduct. This is vagina monitoring conduct that Bezos and the company Amazon Prime are engaging in. You're driving an engineer light. Okay, this is what you saw inside of the Stater Brothers this morning. This is my shadow appearing. This is P.O.C. This is the acid entity that you're going to prosecute. It's mental illness. You need to know that the mentally ill operate multi-billion-dollar businesses. They're psychopaths. P.O.C. Alrighty, capturing that video of Amazon Prime targeting me in furtherance of the pattern of conduct. Amazon's targeting me in Los Angeles with LAPD as well. Amazon's targeting me with the Costa Mesa Police Department and the Orange County Sheriff's Department in Costa Mesa, as I'm documenting that as well. Amazon Prime has been targeting me for years, as I'm showing you the evidence of an environment, speaking to the ability to identify the Nephilim, in case you did not know. In other words, let me connect that for you. The Nephilim are engaged in operating Amazon Prime vehicles and Amazon Prime planes where they are targeting. These are large companies sharing in the conspiracy to commit murder and psychologically torture their anticipated murder victim. And that's a prosecution, civil and criminal. Monitoring, 9 TES 985 is monitoring my vagina. In doing so with Mike LORENZ, a terrorist leader. License 9REE 630, monitoring my vagina. 9 Frank Zebra Victor 849, monitoring my vagina. 9 PAM 447, monitoring my vagina. And monitoring me with this demon that's driving an Amazon Prime vehicle in impossible light activity. Gang stalking. P.O.C. Every business in the state of California and every immigrant in the state of California is sharing in the sexual violence that's committed in furtherance of murder. They're all engaged in criminal surveillance. That's a federal RICO case against the entirety of that entity. P.O.C.
Amazon is gang stalking. The fake sun is over this building at 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning. The fake sun is reflecting off of that building. That's the same pattern of conduct. Amazon's engaged in demonstrating mental illness while a demon operates that vehicle. Amazon is exposing the fact that it's corrupt while a demon is operating its vehicles, engaging in a state's pattern of conduct. That's how you're logically analyzing the supernatural. And while they drive by, crossing path, gang stalking, under the fake sun, evident through what is reflecting off of a building that it's over me at 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock in the morning, the entity is stalking. Impossible Light moved all through that parking garage. And you've also seen the evidence already of what Amazon is, as I'm narrating it on my podcast. Amazon is targeting me while that's happening. Amazon's been targeting me for years. Amazon also knows that. I just referred to video of them targeting me with the Ontario Police Department. Amazon's engaged in the documented pattern with regard to Title 18 federal stalking. Not coincidentally targeting me again as I refer to evidence, bring up evidence, address evidence that they're targeting me in furtherance of murdering me. 8FWH854. Bezos is a terrorist leader in the United States. He makes money. How did I tell you that those across the globe are engaging in surveillance and targeting American citizens, opening up a business in the United States? That's what Starbucks is. That's what this library is. That's what this apartment complex is. 6ZTY102. P.O.C. Driving here and driving under the shade will never cause light to shoot backwards into the depths of a parking garage. That's terrorism that I'm going to prosecute Amazon for. And it's not a matter of he said, she said, or imagining anything. The documentation of Amazon systematically targeting and sexually violating me while demons operate those commercial vehicles, making money while gang stalking me in furtherance of murder. It's already on the record. It's already on the record. Okay, and they're doing so pursuant to Title 18. Refer to the video of the entity gang stalking me at Stater Brothers this morning, because in those videos I'm referring to October 13, 2025, where Amazon Prime is gang stalking me with the agency that's stalking in the bathroom by the people of the state. And Amazon is gang stalking in that video. You're not coincidentally engaged in that. I've documented this pattern. There are no coincidences under a fake sun that's in the same position. It was reflecting off of the window. See how it rapidly changes, but yet it's not changing so much that it's still here at the same venue at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, at 10 o'clock in the morning, at 8 o'clock in the morning. This is an entity that's engaged in that. That's a psychopath that's in there listening to me document sitting in that vehicle. I'm gonna prosecute Bezos. He's a terrorist leader. As you're understanding how domestic terrorism is underway in the United States, they're driving out of the parking garage, driving an engineer light. That parking garage that's filled with engineer light, which I've shown you. It's the P.O.C. It's currently 4:09 p.m. I'm going to prosecute Amazon for threatening my life and conspiring my murder and engaging in that for years. P.O.C. That's the engineer light they're driving in. I'm going to go ahead and conclude the video with the fake sun. The sound of traffic is because I'm moving. And this is the fake sun in the same position it was. This is the illusion where Amazon is stalking in the path. That's a demon that just holds a package and bears a logo. You're going to prosecute that logo, and you're going to prosecute for that malice. They're driving an engineer light. These are demons that just don't have a logo. That's all impossible light. This is not the sun. It never went to Florida. It never exceeded beyond this street. And this is where the fake sun is this morning when I'm at this intersection coming from Stater Brothers. It's a pattern of conduct. This is vagina monitoring conduct that Bezos and the company Amazon Prime are engaging in. You're driving an engineer light. Okay, this is what you saw inside of the Stater Brothers this morning. This is my shadow appearing. This is P.O.C. This is the asset entity that you're going to prosecute. It's mental illness. You need to know that the mentally ill operate multi-billion-dollar businesses. They're psychopaths. P.O.C.
Alrighty, it is currently 4:16 p.m. and I remain at the Ontario Town Square, and I want to make sure that there are relevant facets to what it is that I'm exposing. I'm exposing a case, an unprecedented criminal case and a civil case against the government. I'm also exposing what is inherent to that based on the fact that I've been targeted not only by the government, not only by a population, but also by every single last person that I've ever met. So I want to make sure that something is abundantly clear, because the entity is still spiritually attacking and the entity is also mentally ill. So there's an extent to which it doesn't matter because these are sick people. This is the Nephilim that I've been surrounded by my whole life, and they literally conspired my death upon the premise that they were going to steal my spiritual gifts, and then they were going to force me into like sex trafficking to harness like spiritually from me, and they had all sorts of fantastical ideas out of hell. Okay, and the same demons, the Nephilim, whom are being publicly defeated by Christ Jesus, and as you're witnessing it, are the same ones that lack any authority to dictate anything over my life and future. Okay, so it's very much a part of what is this spiritual warfare that is feckless. While they have been exposed as the Nephilim, you all need to know that the demon-possessed, like I've been describing for years, this is them by name. They are described in Scripture. They have already been subject, and the Lord has already dictated what judgment is going to be toward them. And the Nephilim make up many celebrities that you follow, that you subscribe to, that you idolize. Many of the Nephilim are politicians, and the Nephilim make up the fake friends and family, okay, that I have known. And they make up what are also the sex partners, Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields. These are mentally ill people. So it's on the one end, you're not going to argue with a crazy person. You're certainly not going to argue with some monitoring demon. Okay, so the entity is still engaged in what is spiritually attacking. And in the same way that you're gang stalking me by helicopters as a means of spiritually attacking is going to get you nowhere other than federal prison, you're spiritually attacking, and that being some sort of basis whereby you're creating what is an illusion pursuant to your own mental illness. And that tormenting spirit, that ongoing tormented effort is residing with you. You have already been defeated, and the Lord God has already told you what your judgment is, and there is no getting out of that. There will be no shelter provided by me, and any property and money, in other words, I'm speaking of shelter, by the way, that you have stolen, you already know what your future is. You're going to prison. You stole from me and then tried to kill me to conceal it. Those of you who are in the government, those of you who are fake friends and family, you're going to prison for this. The entity is engaged in this pattern of conduct, and the evidence for what you seek to want to deny while you're still engaging in what is wicked, this is demonic, while you're monitoring, and from monitoring, you surmise that you're going to reap some sort of blessing or benefit or shelter or avert what is judgment. You're delusional. You're delusional. And many of you, I've already told you what's going to happen. I have been maintaining a case while you were engaged in sex rituals and engaged in homosexual conduct that you want to keep from the public. While you were on all fours, I was prosecuting you. And that evidence isn't going anywhere. It's going to be submitted in court. I will be an instrumental part of your being prosecuted. I want to make sure that this is publicly understood, because this is not just about me. This is about American citizens in this country. And where the entity is your terrorist, that terrorist doesn't have any right to dictate what their relationship with you is or be in your presence outside of being a terrorist that tried to kill you with the government. They're delusional. Okay, the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and there are demons that are still engaging what is spiritually attacking, demons that are delusional with regard to the fact we are not family, we are not friends, and we have no future. In fact, there is no we. Okay, you are going to prison. I am getting everything you tried to steal from me, and you are not stealing anything or associating with. There won't even be a conversation about the fact that you're blocked. The world is witnessing, and everybody else knows, and you can refer to this podcast if you forget about it. Okay, I want to make sure that that's clear. Jason Isaac Fields will never be in my presence. This is a documented terrorist. He's going to prison. He is engaged in stealing from me. You will never engage in having any sort of sexual activity with a family member of mine and then think that we're going to talk about it after you failed in trying to kill me. Those demons have taken your right mind. The Nephilim will have no personal involvement with me. None of this is my doing. This is the work of the devil, and it is God's glory. Satan can plan and plot all he wants. It will never change what is the Lord's will. That's what the bottom line is here. They engaged in all manner, calling on all the powers that they have in the spiritual realm and on earth, and you still failed. And what that includes is I will be presenting evidence against you in court. I will be prosecuting you in court. We will not be on any basis fraternizing with one another. And monitoring me is establishing you as the enemy. If I have not already made that clear about the fact that I stand with Christ, then it will be clear when the world witnesses you having nothing to do with me ever, other than the fact that you're a vagina monitoring light slinging gargoyle. You're a pervert. You're a delusional psychopath. Your mental illness in and of itself speaks to your disqualification to have anything to do with any aspect of my life. There was never any genuine relationship. You've been a monitoring demon the entire time. And I'm referring to the demons that are monitoring, and they know who they are. And it is those as you're listening to me, it is chiefly those that are delusional fake family members, delusional fake friends, delusional sex partners of those that are fake friends and family of mine. You're not even relevant. I haven't talked to you in years. There has never been any sort of substantial connection between us, let alone the fact that you're a monitoring spirit. That makes no friends. You're getting confused with what is monitoring, demonic, and what is a genuine connection regarding any sort of future encounter with me outside of a federal court where I'm prosecuting you. You're getting confused, and the two are not the same. And one does not lead to the other. With regard to having a relationship with mine, there are two separate paths. I want to make sure that I clearly state that. I've stated it before, but like I said, the Nephilim, the demon possessed, they're mentally ill. So you who are witnessing all of this, you are going to witness how the demon possessed are going to face judgment in every regard. It is not my job to protect those from judgment, which I can't. It's out of my hands. You've made your choices while you thought that I was the dummy in the equation, while you thought that you were going to just rule my life and that I'm blind, deaf, dumb, and blind, and that I'm just going to follow whatever it is that you say, that you're going to have me under a spell and my brain is just going to click off and you're just going to have your way with my body, with my brain, and with my life and my money. None of that is going to happen. None of that has happened. None of that was ever going to happen. And terrorists like Tracy Banks coming around bringing suspicious food, she's going to prison for that. So, like I said, if you feel as though you've accomplished something, your reward is prison amongst whatever else, and that's between you and Christ Jesus. Your kingdom spouse, this demon, Jason Isaac Fields, who chose to lay down with you for years, he is still mentally ill, and this is a monitoring spirit who will never have any future with me. That was sacrificed when you had sex with men. That was sacrificed when you had sex with the hundreds of women that you've been with. That was sacrificed when you contracted to kill me. That is not being revoked. It will never be forgotten. That has nothing to do with me having to forgive. The demon possessed are not running my life. This is speaking to what is absurdly pathetic. Absurdly pathetic, and it has nothing to do with Christ Jesus. So you're witnessing what is the destruction of the wicked, and you're witnessing what is the entity that has sacrificed any future with me, which I have no desire. I have no appetite. I have no room for. Satan is being and has already been plucked out, and there is no person whose name I already know that's ever going to have anything to do with my life. And so the entity is engaging in what is failed witchcraft, and it is already bound up in Jesus' name. And the illusion is such that there's some sort of future relationship. It's not going to happen, that there is some future endeavor, and the future relationship is going to be defended. You're going to be a defendant in a federal case, and I'm going to prosecute you. You're going to federal prison. I'll be testifying. I'll be submitting evidence against you. You and the agency that you conspired to kill and kidnap me and defame me with. That's the Ontario Police. You are instrumental in the prosecution of that domestic terrorist, Mike LORENZ. And Mike LORENZ's criminal conduct is instrumental in prosecuting you and putting you in prison. There will never be anything else other than that. An adversarial relationship in a courtroom other than than that, you're nothing other than a vagina monitoring demon. And that goes for all of you. That goes for all of you. May you repent before Christ Jesus. May you... I'm not in that, but I've read what Scripture says about the fate of those that have done the things that you've done. I'm not going to speak on that, but there will be no place at all. And it's not going to be pursuant to some kidnapping. There's not going to be any rape. There's not going to be any forcing me to do something that I'm not going to do. And everyone is clearly hearing the words that are coming out of my mouth. And in the same way that I stated before what's going to be the future, what's going to happen, and you didn't believe it, this is exactly what's going to happen. And no demon, no person that had anything to do with this case, the people that I called, or the people that helped me when I was sleeping outside on the sidewalk, when I called you in 2020, when I called you in 2021 and your answer was no, and then you went back to anal sex with Tracy, you already know what the answer is, and you already know what the future is. You're going to prison and there will be no relationship. And there is no changing that. Being delusional doesn't change that. You still need medication, and you still need to repent. This is P.O.C. It's 4:27 p.m. This is public with regard to the entity that sought to engage in some feckless efforts of some humiliation ritual. This is a humongous backfire. That humiliation ritual is, first of all, it's out of the pit of hell, and it doesn't work on a child of God. Not only that, the entity is engaging in what is, these are demon-possessed hamsters on their hamster wheels. And so they're engaged in the criminal pattern of conduct, which has no spiritual authority, and they're going to prison, and they know it. And this is also, ironically, resulting in their ongoing spiraling out of control. The entity is engaged in what is hovering over the Metro 102 apartments like they do at 7 o'clock in the morning. That is Southwest Airlines. That's United Airlines. That is UPS that I'm documenting already while the entity is gang stalking under the fake sunrise. The entity is engaging in this right now while you and the world are witnessing the Nephilim, who are identified by name. Tracy Banks, she's a demon. Eric Corey Spencer, these are the demon possessed that are fake family members. Jason Isaac Fields is a sex partner to basically everybody that I've ever met. He's very mentally ill. This is a sexual psychopath, as I would describe. This is mental illness. This is somebody that's still spiritually attacking. This is somebody that has not repented. This is somebody that's going to prison and is in need of serial, ongoing, constant mental examinations, and he will never be permitted in my presence, and that's going to be a matter of law. This is somebody that's engaging in what is spiritually attacking and is so delusional that in serving Satan and following Satan is delusional to the point that that's going to result in some sort of blessing, and it's not going to happen. He has no blessings next to me in Christ. This is somebody that is a demon that's engaged in targeting me. This is somebody that is already outside of the bounds of Scripture. This is somebody that has been personally blocked by me, and the Lord God himself is not forcing me to encounter anyone that had anything to do with this. It's not going to happen under any circumstances, but this is nonetheless my publicly announcing that because of this backfired satanic ritual that this entity engaged in. So in the same way that you publicly engaged in what is targeting me, you are being publicly prosecuted, humiliated, and exposed. And the humiliation is not I'm out here I don't have any agenda. You're the one that's monitoring me. You're the one that's stalking me. You're the one that's spending millions of dollars in doing so, by the way. It's not the other way around. You are not the center of my universe. It's the other way around. And I'm going on with my life, and you're not invited. You're not going. You're also not going to force your way in. And the entities engaged in this pattern of conduct, and every single last one that engaged and participated at any level permanently blocked themselves. And Christ Jesus and I are in agreement to that. All right, it is currently 4:30 p.m. The entity is stalking at the Ontario Town Square, exhibiting mental illness while they're stalking in planes. Those are the demons that you can identify by name. The entirety of that Ontario executive team, the entirety of that Ontario board, the so-called president of the airport authority. You're looking at what is the picture of mental illness. That is the Nephilim. They are calling themselves titles where they make money, and they're engaged in nothing other than demonic activity, targeting American citizens, engaging in terrorism as it's going to be legislated and prosecuted. And they're doing so with regard to the people of the state that are sharing in that terrorism, and they do so as what is the Nephilim, okay, that fill the state of California. The mentally ill are identified through their pattern of conduct. They're also prosecuted through their pattern of conduct. And those that have engaged in this, you enjoyed my money, you slept in my house, you engaged in stealing my property, you engaged in defaming my character, you engaged in sexual activity with all manner of people, you engaged in what is enjoying me, thinking that I was losing while I was prosecuting, and who is enjoying this now? Are you enjoying being publicly exposed as somebody that's never going to have anything to do with me? Having been engaged and associated with monitoring my vagina, Whether that is a negative or positive response is not my concern. The reality is that you are being publicly exposed and you are publicly blocked. You are publicly excluded from what is the rest of my life. And that is your decision. Okay? In the same way that you decide to try to kill me, and when that death plot fails, you're delusional in thinking that there's some plan B with me. Okay? It's never going to happen. It is currently 4:32 p.m. This is P.O.C. This is reference to how federal law is going to operate with regard to protecting American citizens and making sure that terrorists are kept at bay with regard to American citizens being kept from those that have conspired with the state to kill you, steal from you, ruin your life, in every regard, psychologically torture you. And that is speaking to those that are going to prison, and that will be in a set of circumstances that will preclude them from being able to further affect you, especially upon the provision of justice and all that justice is entailing with regard to the government targeting you in the first place. That's relevant to Tracy Banks and Jason Fields, this demonic kingdom spouse, these cult members that engage in sexual activity with each other while they worship me at the same time. That is, again, literally the heights of mental illness. That's what is delusional with regard to thinking that there's some sort of future. There's no future. The future is them in asylums, them in prison, and that's it. This is P.O.C. It's 4:32 p.m. at the Ontario Town Square.
Just want you to see that. All right. The entity is engaged in what is serial flight, like I described on my podcast. They're engaging in hovering behind the Ontario Town Square. So what are they doing when they're flying right here repeatedly? Okay. The entity is engaged in what is stalking me under all circumstances. Stalking where the entity is made. If the fake sun is here in the morning, that's not sunlight. That's coming from some place where the sun is in the east. It's just over me where Dylan is stalking me with impossible light while he's opening and closing the door over here. Those are demons. UPS engaged in crashing a plane in Kentucky. Those are demons that are using UPS planes. This is, again, I'm exposing to you what the Nephilim are doing, and they are murdering people. And they are the psychopaths that are stalking using planes. Those psychopaths stalking using planes are crashing those planes, doing so with a population of people that are sharing in surveillance. Okay? Stalking under a fake sun is mentally ill behavior. Doing so with a government that's sharing in that. Here it is, hovering over the town square, no elevation, no audible activity here, but you're doing so on an ongoing systematic basis. The entities looking at the evidence, the analysis, that's only one facet. They're not ready for a federal case. They're not. They never were. But nonetheless, the entities engaged in now hovering behind the Ontario Town Square. There's no airport back here. That's what I said when they're hovering over in this direction. There's no airport back there. There's also no sunlight that's going to be, let me see, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4:40 p.m. That's not sunlight. It's engineer light. Those are the mentally ill. And this is giving you context regarding what happened in Kentucky. It was murder. It was murder. This is P.O.C. It is 4:41 p.m.
$5:57 p.m. Mike LORENZ is being prosecuted for ongoing terrorism while I document and publish. This is the Ontario Town Square. Oh, by the way, this is the evidence of the entity stalking in the path. This is the documentation of the desperation of the demons that are gang stalking. I'm capturing it on video right now so you can see. This is the psychopathic pacing that's starting as Amazon Prime's gang stalking conduct under a fake sun that's reflecting off of the same building where it's over me at 8:55 in the morning is being published online. The moment that I go to this video to publish it, the demons that have been gang stalked by the Ontario International Airport utilize the same city of Ontario, the Ontario Police Department. And as I begin capturing video right now, I just want to give you a visual regarding what you're listening to on podcast. This is the pattern of conduct that is engaged engaging in terrorism in concert with the people of the state, and in concert in particularly the terrorists Mike Lorenz and Derek Williams are going to be prosecuted for terrorism in Ontario. This is P.O.C. This is pursuant to Title 18 federal stalking. The same criminal conduct inspired Amazon gang stalking, delivering a package while stalking with impossible light under the fake sun, which you'll see reflecting on that apartment building where they're making a delivery. And it's over my head at that apartment building at 8:55 in the morning on November 6, November 6, 2025. Those are the videos that I'm connecting on YouTube. And pursuant to surveillance, these demons are engaging in this. These are the suicidal. This is the Nephilim. This is the agency that engaged in criminal summoning at ARCO. That wasn't a traffic stop. The demons that were in that white Lexus, the demons that were engaging in that traffic stop at ARCO targeting me, they're going to prison. Burtnick, number 0856, that engaged in criminal summoning under the fake sun, pursuant to this surveillance that they're engaging, he's going to federal prison. Okay. Vivanco and the demon-possessed gang stalker, the Securitas security guard that engaged in criminal summoning at this Ontario Town Square, pursuant to this pattern of conduct, all four of those demons of the Ontario Police, those gang members, are going to federal prison, and so is the Securitas security guard. The demons that have arrived systematically over the years, engaging in stalking with the people of the state, and then engaging in criminal summoning, claiming that they are the ones that call the agency. They're the ones that engage in criminal summoning together. They're going to federal prison at the OVITT Family Community Library. This is surveillance. It's 6:03 p.m. And this is relevant to evidence that's going to be published online. This is the conduct that Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields are sharing and defaming my character. This is the ongoing criminal conduct that is preceding what is the conspiracy to commit murder. And this is the prosecution of terrorism in the U.S. No coincidence with regard to stalking me, where the fake sun rises and sets by repeatedly flying over my head. In furtherance of what is the effort to psychologically torture and harass and threaten, while I continuously publish the evidence, because not only is that going on the internet, so are the videos that I already captured. It's going on the internet. P.O.C. All right, the gang members of the Ontario Police are going to federal prison. This is mental illness that's exhibited while you're stalking in helicopters. And this is indeed happening in the specific environment, okay? That's the demon that's engaging in the pattern of conduct. This is stalking. This is what they're doing all day long under a fake sun. They're walking in engineer light with a communication device monitoring. All right, this is P.O.C. So the entity is engaged in this. I just want to be clear. This is what they're doing while the Ontario airport is stalking in the path. And this is the Nephilim. This is a demon and a psychopath that's walking their dog and engineer light gang stalking with the police. That's why the police are flying in over me in a circle that's not separate from these demons that are crossing path. That demon that's sitting on the bench is gang stalking. These demons that are on traffic are gang stalking. The demons that are on camera at Wells Fargo are gang stalking. The demons inside of downtown Ontario luxury apartments are gang stalking. Look, this impossible light on the wall. They're monitoring. That's not headlights. That's what they're molesting my person with at the bus stop. That's impossible light activity. Yeah, they're stalking. They're going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. Those are demons. Okay? That's the pattern of conduct, and this is what they're doing because Bezos' is criminal conduct, evident through the criminal monitoring by Amazon in California, is being published on the internet, and this isn't the first day of that. This is surveillance. They're doing this while they're conspiring murder. And that conspiracy to murder, which has been foiled by my public investigation, but been subject to repeated kidnapping by that agency, that's the agency that's mentally ill. These light-slinging gargoyles monitoring my vagina while these demons go in bathroom stalls with that agency. Mike Lorenz is being prosecuted. It's the pattern of conduct by that agency that's inspiring criminal conduct. That's called stalking with light in the engineered environment. So let me show you something else. Here's one shadow here. In addition to the light activity you saw on the wall while that demon drives out of the parking garage of downtown Ontario luxury apartments. Here you go. And this is where UPS is engaged in what is acting like they're landing. This is a U-turn. This has nothing to do with flights that are arriving and departing. This is gang stalk by the city of Ontario. So I just want to be clear, the Nephilim are clearly showing you that they're stalking me. This is a concession. They've been doing that. Tracy Banks, in the same way, she's going to federal prison. She engaged in kidnapping with this agency in furtherance of murder and criminal defamation. So trying to falsely depict the targeted individual that you're gang stalking by criminally defaming, that was a kidnapping with Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. And all the gang stalking judges, the gang stalking sheriff deputies, they're engaging in kidnapping as well with this agency, with the city of Ontario. They're going to prison. This is a massive case. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:06 p.m. This is not going to stop Bezos being exposed. Bezos is a terrorist leader that maintains a business where you see businesses like Saris Regis are engaged in surveillance while that apartment complex is engaged in the P.O.C. with an agency, with the city, with the municipality, with the state. Where the residents are gang stalking, like you see them driving out, stalking with impossible light, where the fake sun rises and sets over that business, which is an apartment complex. That's the entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct. Bezos is being exposed while my life is threatened, and I'm publishing evidence exposing that terrorist leader in the U.S. which is an unlawful threat post. Okay, that's P.O.C. It's currently, by the way, 6:07 p.m. This is what I'm capturing on the podcast. I want to capture a video. This is an entity that has no intent to have any sort of defense in court, and that is a concession with regard to the ongoing desperation to commit murder while they've been gang stalking the entire time. All right, I'm still capturing podcasts. Yeah, I'm still capturing podcasts because my video stopped. So I want to make sure that I'm capturing that. I captured substantial video of the entity stalking by plane, engaging in what is a U-turn, stalking by impossible light activity on the wall of the I'm at the Ontario Town Square. That's exactly what I documented this afternoon, where I was documenting that family of demons. And I stated as that demon drove out of the garage, which was stalking in the path, that impossible light moved across that wall. That's exactly what's captured at nightfall, where, by the way, your headlights aren't reaching that distance. That's the sex offense that this agency is committing in concert with the people of the state while I'm at the bus stop, which you can see that light activity as well. This is the entity that's stalking by the airport, engaging what is a U-turn. I captured the UPS gang stalking, dipping behind the Ontario Town Square amphitheater. This is the city of Ontario that's engaging in what is that gang stalking system. And it is relevant to the video. I want to be clear. It's directly tied to, because what I'm publishing online is the video of the Amazon Prime gang stalking under the fake sun that's reflecting off of the window of the 280 North Limit Apartments, where the fake sun is documented over me at 8:55 in the morning, where I'm documenting Taylor, who's monitoring my vagina today under the 4 p.m. fake sun at the same address. Okay, Taylor's gang stalking with this agency while the demons go into the bathroom, which is what I documented on podcast, while you're looking at a relevant positioning of the demon possessed that go into a bathroom stall to maintain surveillance, just like they are now outside of that same venue where the fake sun is rising and setting at the Ontario Town Square. Okay, this is P.O.C. The Ontario Police Department are engaged in what is gang violence, and it is in the same way that you're witnessing them engaging in that gang violence, they are engaging in that gang violence with the people of the state. And the entity that's engaging in what is criminal summoning, you lie and state that I'm harassing someone because the people of the state call you. No, you're gang stalking me, and that is an iteration of the malicious pattern of conduct. This is the entity that's engaged in criminal summoning. They're going to federal prison while you see them stalking me by helicopters as I publish evidence on the internet. Mike Lorenz, just like Osama bin Laden, to be prosecuted for terrorism in the U.S. Mike Lorenz is going to be prosecuted for domestic terrorism in the state of California in the U.S. while this gang violence is underway, and it is engaged in by the entire agency and by the people of the state in concert with that agency, and it is committed in furtherance of murder. And this is the criminal pattern of conduct by demons. This is specifically the Nephilim. All right, this is P.O.C. It is currently 6:09 p.m. I'm going to publish this video, and I'm going to finish publishing the video that I was putting online as the Ontario police engage in their very heavily documented tactic of stalking me in helicopters, which is a communication of a threat by psychopaths who resort to more of the same criminal activity while the criminal conduct is already on the internet. That's an outdated tactic. In other words, confirming the very allegations, which I don't need Satan to help me. I've already prosecuted Satan. The entity engages in more of the same because that is their pattern of conduct, and Satan doesn't have any other tactics. Satan engaged in kidnapping. Satan engages in malicious allegations. Satan's engaging in what is harassment. Satan engaged in trying to hit me with a car the other night. That's this agency that's going to be prosecuted. That's the Ontario Police. That entity that engaged in what is assault with a deadly weapon, trying to hit me with a car, the Ontario Police is being prosecuted for it. They are the leader of domestic terrorism. They're engaging in gang violence by stalking by helicopter. Jason Isaac Fields will never be any sort of associate of mine. He's going to federal prison for this gang violence that he shares in, defaming my character, plotting against my life, gang stalking me with the city of Ontario that's monitoring now. He's going to federal prison. He's directly engaged in this ongoing criminal conspiracy, and nothing changes from that. Also, under the law, that ongoing criminal conspiracy to murder remains underway to date, and he's going to federal prison for that. There is no negotiation out of that. Not only that, the entity is engaging in that while the government is engaging in what is voyeurism. The entity is gang stalking me through commercial planes, through smaller government planes. It's all over the internet. The federal government has no reasonable question regarding what's going on. And the entity is permitting the Ontario police to engage in this violence for which there will be no negotiation out of. I'm going to prosecute the federal government, demons like Jason Isaac Fields that has no way out of federal prison time, and also the state. This is P.O.C. It's currently 6:11 p.m. The people of the state, again, Shanita Ramiah McLean, Eric Corey Spencer, Tracy Banks, Jason Fields. This is both a corrupt government official and a third party that was engaged in a sexual relationship with Tracy Banks for years, conspiring my murder, gang stalking me, just like the people of the state are. He's been engaged in gang stalking, doing so while a resident of Nevada, and also while then relocating to California to be in this state, conspiring my murder here in the same state with the state of California. He's engaging in this pattern of conduct in real time. Okay, the entities engaged in the pattern of conduct while they are aware of the fact, meaning your criminal, this is mental illness. Your criminal activity doesn't stop the ongoing investigation. I'm going to publish this video and the video that I was in the process of publishing while they engage in psychopathic and failed witchcraft. Remember, this is demonic. The demonic activity, which is their criminal pattern of conduct, is going to be utilized to diagnose mental illness. The demon that's flying in that helicopter is exhibiting mental illness. The entity is engaging in what is delusional behavior while all the world is looking at what was supposed to be a secret execution of psychological torture, creating the illusion of mental illness suffered by myself. That's not working. So now you're openly stalking as a population who is absurdly demented and deranged. That's relevant to their mental illness assessment. The entity is going to be assessed. Mike Lorenz, that entire agency, is mentally unstable, and they will be subject to mental examinations upon what is being prosecuted as a terrorist organization, and every kidnapper being prosecuted. Gang stalking police officers are subject to federal prison plus mental examinations. Mike Lorenz is the terrorist leader who's subject to what is a federal prosecution as such. And he is going to be criminally liable, and he is going to be in court regarding criminal liability for the gang violence that's underway in the state of California, in the state of California, in the city of Ontario, while that terrorist leader is engaging in what is criminal surveillance within the confines of the city of Ontario, okay? It's currently 6:13 p.m. And like I stated, I gave the timestamps, and the entities engaging in this conduct, remember, this is not only failed witchcraft, this is a public backfire regarding failed witchcraft. It is also evidence of what is the entity's mental illness and the entity's criminal pattern of conduct, which is going to be used to put in prison the terrorists that have conspired my murder together, the people of the state. Every employee at the OVITT Family Community Library, everybody gang stalking at the computer station while they're sitting around me, and the entity's stalking with activity while they're pacing all around me in the engineer light. The Ontario Police Department is the criminal organization that is inspiring that. That is the cause of that, because that criminal organization is not law enforcement, and they're masquerading as such to engage in the conspiracy to murder. Okay, this is P.O.C. Their demonic activity is literally going to be utilized to assess mental illness. This is P.O.C. It's 6:14 p.m. (6:15 p.m.) following the psychopathic pacing by Ontario Police, City of Ontario, gang stalking, while the Ontario Police is still pacing around. That is 6:15 p.m. This is the Nephilim, by the way. These are demons. So this criminal conduct is directly linked to their condition. Demons who are engaged in demonic activity. It's also spiritually significant what they're doing. This is called ritualistic pacing all around in the engineered light while they're maintaining noise. They're monitoring me. They're engaging in what is failed witchcraft. Their witchcraft doesn't work on me, and I am actually using it to prove the fact that they are together keeping me under surveillance. This is stalking, as you are going to legislate and prosecute for what is demonic activity, which is committed in furtherance of murder. The Ontario Police are still flying around the perimeter, and the Ontario International Airport is the guise of audible activity where they are stalking by hovering. Don't forget what UPS is doing, acting like they're landing behind this same Ontario Town Square amphitheater. The entities engage in all manner of exhibiting severe mental illness together. It's 6:16 p.m. where the entities engaging in what is stalking by plane and helicopter together. P.O.C. All right, the people of the state sharing the same mental illness as the demon possessed of the Ontario Police. Engaging in what is molestation while a demon that's on a bike brings a large, bright spotlight. This is a demon. So when you're looking at them within a vehicle, when you're looking at them with a flashlight, this is a demon that's actually engaging in what is demonic, and you're witnessing the demonic in real time. It's actually not a spotlight that's so vibrant and bright and blinding. That's a demon that's holding a form of light while they are engaging in witchcraft in your face. The entity engages in a sex offense while this demon is playing loud music, crosses path riding a bike, and is molesting me with impossible light. And they're doing so on behalf of the sex offenders, the demons of the Ontario Police. This is occurring at it's 19 p.m. This just happened seconds ago at 6:18 p.m. The entities engage in this with regard to acts of sexual violence, acts of hostility and harassment while I'm publishing the evidence on the internet. These are the demons that do so while they're stalking me on the roads and the highways, at the bus stop where they're all pacing all around me, stalking me all night long at the bus stop. where they're monitoring and stalking with impossible light, just like what you see while that demon's driving out of the parking garage. Their headlights are not creating the shadow of the leaves of the tree on that wall. Their headlights are not reaching at that distance. That's a demon that's stalking and is specifically targeting me, and is also one that knows exactly what I'm doing, that it is hostile to. So the people of the state are gang stalking at Ontario Town Square, doing so, and this is a sex offense that the people of the state engage in the same way that they engage in a sex offense when they are stalking in the bathroom, when they're stalking outside of the bathroom, when they are stalking as a population while maintaining surveillance in a bathroom. All of that is the perpetual sex offense, and the sex offenders are engaging in that on behalf of the sex offender, Mike Lorenz. It is currently 6:20 p.m. This is P.O.C. This is all evidence of the entity's mental illness. The gang stalkers are going to be prosecuted, and they will be subject to mental examinations regarding their proven mental illness by targeting me. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, this goes without stating. The message that I'm publicly exposing, because Jason Isaac Fields represents a threat to my life and safety. Tracy Banks represents a threat to my life and safety. Shanita Ramaya McLean, Eric Corey Spencer, Tommy Allen Banks, Leroy Lomaxis Spencer, whoever these demons, whatever their real names are, whoever they are, with regard to the entity that has in any way defamed my character, aided in the entity kidnapping me through this targeting system, which is surveillance, through the corrupt courts that have been gang stalking me, and the corrupt sheriff's department that has been gang stalking with this Ontario Police Department. They represent a real-time threat to my life, and I want to be clear, the entity that represents a threat, while I'm still subject to this, Jason Isaac Fields remains a terrorist, and he's subject to federal, I'm going to prosecute, in other words, I'm going to prosecute Tracy Banks. She's stalking me coming to the library, and you're gang stalking me just like every other demon with that Ontario Police Department in furtherance of murder. These are the psychopaths that are sitting around stalking, exhibiting severe mental instability while they're stalking me with light at that. Okay, these gargoyles that are out here flinging light all over the place while they're monitoring and absurdly spending all of their time and money on keeping me under surveillance while they're surveilling me, exposing them. So they're not secretly gang stalking anything. Neither is their mental illness a secret. The instability of Jason Isaac Fields is a threat to my life. The instability of Tracy Banks, his wife, his long-term sex partner, his co-conspirator to murder, is a threat to my life. This Eric Spencer gang stalking me at the same Ontario Town Square, that's a threat to my life that I documented, and that's why I documented it. That's a federal offense. I'm going to prosecute Eric Spencer for that. He's conspiring my death like he has been for years. I want to be clear, the entities engaging in this, and this is the evidence that is barring Jason Fields from Tracy Banks from ever, you're talking about even if they, whenever they get out of prison, because they're going to prison, all of them, individually, and you're talking about what is remaining outside of my presence as a matter of law that I will utilize to make sure that terrorists like that are, because of their obsession with me, because of their mental instability, that I'm exposing while I'm documenting the demon-possessed that they share the pattern of conduct with. This is mental illness that Tracy Banks suffers from. This is what's wrong with her. This is what the mental illness that Jason Fields suffers from. This is what's wrong with him. This person is not even relevant to my life. He's been engaged in gross sexual activity with Tracy Banks for years. This person is nobody to me. The only reason why he is being brought up is because he is conspiring my murder to date. He is engaged in what is stealing from me and defaming my character. This is a supposed man that wants to be me and is also sexually obsessed with my vagina while engaging in what is having sex with my mother figure's vagina for years. He is absurdly sick. While he is of the same entity stalking me in helicopters, the same entity stalking me and molesting me with light, the same entity that's obsessed delusional, that they're avoiding justice, that nobody's seeing what they're doing, and that there's an illusion that I'm the one that's imagining this. No, you're all witnessing the Nephilim. Jason Isaac Fields is of the Nephilim, and he will never have anything to do with my life. This person is absurdly psychotic and delusional. He is the same entity that's stalking me day and night. And that is, again, a matter of what is federal law because of the fact that I know this demon's name, and he has been so invested in my demise in order to profit from it. That's why under the law, this person will never be permitted. And this is an entity that is, again, severely mentally disturbed. I'll put it that way. Severely mentally disturbed. The tactics regarding what is failed witchcraft is it's being reversed with regard to my utilizing their targeting me as a way to preclude them ever having anything to do with me in real life. And this is supported by what is federal law. What is the law? The federal government that is conspired by murder is the federal government that is going to be forced to maintain no further experimentation. I'm going to be subject to what is a civil and a criminal prosecution, and there will be no negotiating at a federal prison time for terrorists like Mike Lorenz, for terrorists like Jason Fields, for terrorists like Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer. That's exactly what you are when you engage in targeting with the government. You have escalated your psychotic criminal activity to what is domestic terrorism in the U.S. Every company, every person within that population joins in on a gang stalking family member's plot to kill you. You're a domestic terrorist and you're going to prison. And federal law is going to block you. None of this psychopathic behavior is going to result in what is actually Eric Spencer ever being in my presence outside of violating federal law. Okay, none of this is going to result, and there's no exception to that. It's the same for Shanita Ramaya McClain having sex with Jason Fields. It's the same with Eric Spencer. If he had sex with Jason Fields, it's the same with Tracy Banks. Everybody knows that they were having sex for years, and they thought that their perverted mother-son dynamic in the bedroom or wherever, cooing to the moon, the fake moon, while they're worshiping me, whatever these psychopaths were doing together while they included sexual activity, it's never going to result in what is being any sort of associate with mine outside of me prosecuting them. That's what is relevant. Mike Lorenz plotted my death with these two demons. Jason Fields represents an unlawful threat to my life that the federal government shares in and permitted, and it's still continuing. Nothing is going to change that. And I'm never going to concede to that and waive that right to prosecute. That's never going to happen. So this is, again, the Nephilim. As I'm exposing them, putting them on the map, the Nephilim includes Jason Isaac Fields. And this is a demon. Everyone needs to know I'm exposing him. He's a demon. And he's engaged in what is spiritually attacking. And this is somebody that's delusional. As I serve Christ, a demon has no stake in my future. This is somebody that is going to lie and claim that he's a Christian. You've been monitoring the whole time. The only person that's deceived is this demon himself. He is hellbound if he doesn't repent. But I want to be clear, the Nephilim are those that have been subject to this demonic behavior, mindset, sickness for generations, meaning their mother and father were demons and their grandparents were demons and the ones before that were demons. This is something that Jason Isaac Fields is plagued with, and that's his own problem. This is somebody that is permanently rejected, and the world needs to know that this demon has been rejected after he tried to kill me. There is no road to reconciliation after conspiring my death and being a demon and doing so. Okay, Mike Lorenz has permanently barred you. Your concerted conduct with this demon, with this agency, you are blocked. You are permanently blocked, and it's in Jesus' name. There is nothing in Christ Jesus and nothing in his word that permits you to have anything other than what is a prosecution that he himself instructed me to create. You're blocked. And you're mentally sick to think that it would be anything else. And the world needs to witness the truth of what you are and what you have manifested. These are hell-bound psychopaths, including Jason Isaac Fields, who continuously is engaging in what is the practice of witchcraft. And the only thing that he is manifesting from that is death. That's it. This is P.O.C. It's 6:28 p.m. This is speaking to how the law is going to protect me from terrorists like Jason Isaac Fields. And not only that, this is speaking to what is publicly exposing the Nephilim. And the Nephilim are the demon-possessed who are absurdly psychotic. And that's what is wrong with Jason Isaac Fields. So anybody that would have anything to do with him, you are of the same condition, or you need to listen to this. Actually, you are of the same condition, because nobody that serves Christ is going to have anything to do with it. He would have advised you. His children know him. So that's not going to happen. Anyway, it's currently 6:28 p.m. This is P.O.C. Same kind of good, 6:32 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and capture a picture. And these are demons that utilize stalking. This is the whole purpose of this witchcraft, because stalking was supposed to be some sort of spiritual work on you. That it's not happening. So stalking was documented, and it's going to prosecute them. That's the backfire of stalking. And it's also not only going to serve to prosecute, it's the people of the state are crossing paths, stalking with the police department. And the entities engaging in what is stalking, while at the moment that I look at videos, this is evidence of the demons that are triggered. Your witchcraft has failed when you are scared of what's being published on the internet. And these are demons that are delusional. But as I pull up the video, again, that's from the same agency that's stalking with Amazon Prime. And Amazon Prime is crossing path intentionally with knowledge of the fact that there is evidence on the internet. Literally, the trail of evidence of them engaging in surveillance is demonstrated in the pattern of conduct. On the day in October when the Ontario Police and Amazon Prime are gang stalking me together, and it's not just those two actors within the entity, but that's the entity that's instrumental in engaging what is targeting me. And that's because the entity is keeping under surveillance what it is that I'm publishing online. And in 2022, that's where I was at in the evidence, and Amazon Prime is being exposed in video documentation that I was in the process of. So they know what's going to come up next with regard to, like, I'm on like March 6th, March 7th, March 13th, something like that. They're paying attention to what I'm publishing and what I'm about to publish, and they're scared of it. That's why you're really doing this, because you're scared. That's why they're stalking in helicopter. But again, that's psychopathic. I'm capturing this and I'm going to use it in court. It's going to serve to block terrorists like Jason Isaac Fields, so that has no opportunity to ever come around me. He's an unstable psychopath that has already tried to kill me. He will be prosecuted if he ever comes near me. Not only that, I'm going to prosecute the entity that is proven as a police department to be stalking, pursuant to what is also the pattern tied to what I do on my devices as I do it. And what I'm doing also is capturing and maintaining a body of organized evidence of this agency stalking. They do so with the Amazon Prime. And Amazon Prime has been targeting with not just the Ontario Police Department. So in October, which I'm documenting at El Pollo Loco, Amazon Prime is gang stalking pursuant to surveillance. While they're aware of what it is that's regarding, and this will be established in my evidence, as you can see the timeline, the real-time knowledge, the evidence of surveillance, the evidence, the intent to harass, intimidate, retaliate, based on that. That's already present. I'm just giving a summary right now. But when the entity is stalking with Amazon by helicopter, and Amazon is gang stalking in the parking lot, and the city of Ontario is crossing path, and they're going into El Pollo Loco as I'm coming out, and the entity is flying around stalking by helicopter, communicating a threat, doing so with Amazon. The entity is engaging in this, which is relevant to what I happen to be in the process of publishing. Okay, today, as I'm publishing and referring back to, because today I went to Stater Brothers, the same Stater Brothers where this entity is gang stalking me under a fake sun that's there after 3 p.m. Amazon Prime is gang stalking me at that same venue at around the same time when the entity's covering up the fake sun, then the fake sun is showing. It's never the natural environment. The fake sun was there over me at 7:45 in the morning. These are the demons that are already defeated at the gate. But nonetheless, as I'm referring to that video, the Amazon is gang stalking today, this evening, after 4 p.m. The fake sun's over me at the location where they're stalking at 8:55 in the morning, where Taylor, that works at the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library, is being specifically used as an example regarding those that are subject to federal prison for monitoring my vagina on behalf of this agency, that gang stalks me with companies like Amazon, and gang stalks me with demons like employees of establishments like OVITT Family Community Library, Taylor. Okay, this demon's engaged in what is gang stalking while the fake sun's over me at this apartment complex, and while it's reflecting off of the windows of the apartment complex, while the demon operating that Amazon vehicle is stalked with impossible light. I explained that. The reason why this entity is engaging in that conduct through those specific actors is relevant to what it is that I'm itemizing, what I'm exposing, what I'm describing, what it is that I'm documenting. The demons that are gang stalking through, let's say they sell Garbanza Garbanza jeans, I'll just make up a brand. The demons will engage in gang stalking with another merchant with the same logo while I am engaged in what is publishing evidence pursuant to that. That's the evidence of them engaging in surveillance. It's not a coincidence. This is what the entity is doing. As I'm publishing that video documentation today, Amazon Prime is gang stalking. As I am tonight publishing the evidence of what is the fake sun reflecting off that window, and Amazon Prime gang stalking pursuant to knowledge that they have because they're engaging in surveillance, that same agency is gang stalking by helicopter while they're, and by the way, this is because of fear. They're very scared. While they're scared, they're engaging in more criminal activity. And these demons that are already defeated, they engage in more of their failed witchcraft, which is no return to sender. I don't practice witchcraft. There is nothing that is going to contend with Christ Jesus and his Holy Spirit and what he has already decreed, which is utter destruction amongst the Nephilim. Utter destruction. They are literally spiraling in that downward spiral while they are being exposed, and that's fear. But again, with regard to what is prosecuting for stalking and furtherance of murder, that's federal prison. But it's revealing that same pattern regarding knowledge about what I'm documenting, which is not coincidental. As I'm publishing that video about Amazon gang stalking me, the entity engages in that documented pattern, stalking me by helicopter while I'm publishing evidence that's very probative that they're very scared of. And as I've accumulated that evidence, you have a mighty, mighty large body of evidence of targeting, clear targeting. There is no mental illness of an American citizen that's being targeted by the state. There's no mental illness that absurdly psychopathic demons like Jason Fields and Tracy Banks and Mike Lorenz have, and the people of the state, the light-slinging gargoyles that they have, when they are in no position to talk about anybody's disturbed mindset. They are psychopaths waiting for mental examinations. But this is the tactic. This is how that system works. They're sitting around stalking me as families. Their whole family of demons are sitting around stalking me. They're sitting around stalking me all night long while I'm at the bus stop sleeping outside. They're stalking me. They're the ones that are mentally ill, and the entities engaged in that documented pattern pursuant to real-time knowledge about what it is that I'm documenting. That's the same pattern that Amazon is engaging in today. That's the same pattern that Amazon was engaging in October at the El Pollo Loco in that same parking lot of Stater Brothers. This is the long-term documentation that I've been stating is the fact that you'll see with regard to analyzing all the evidence, not only just the pattern of conduct as I've shown, the pattern within the pattern. The entity engages in more of that pattern of conduct, which is, again, failed witchcraft. This is their outdated tactic. All they have is stalking. Oh, okay, well, I'm going to prosecute you for stalking me. I'm going to prove that you are stalking me as the government. And so you engage in more stalking and you're going to prison, okay? That's the pattern of conduct, though. That's what the entity is doing, 6:39 p.m. The entity is pacing through a whole bunch of demons, a whole family of demons with their dogs and their demon-possessed children pace around me while I'm describing that to you. This is the population of demons that are stalking, and they go into the bathroom stall on behalf of that same agency. These are sex offenders. Jason Isaac Fields is a sex offender that's been monitoring my vagina and has no business being able to describe and sit around masturbating, engaging in gay sex and sex rituals with other people while he's been engaged in keeping my vagina under surveillance. But that's exactly what he has done. That's exactly what he continuously engages in, and he's going to federal prison for it. Okay, he is a sex offender, and he will never be in my presence by anything other than being in federal court, and anything that the federal court permits, like what Tracy Banks has been doing, what Eric Spencer has been doing, what the Ontario police have been doing. I'm going to prosecute for that. This is the U.S. government's pattern of conduct, and I'm prosecuting the impotent demons in California for what the U.S. government has been engaged in, which is inhumane and unconstitutional. And while you sit back watching it, you're watching me prosecute you. I don't need to know your names. I'm going to be prosecuting the U.S. government. This is the prosecution of the U.S. government. While the absurdly mentally ill can't control themselves, and I've already proven that they're stalking, and the fact that they're psychopaths while they're stalking. This is the exposure of the Nephilim. This is P.O.C. All right, it's 8:24 p.m. This is documentation, just updating. As of 8:24 p.m., basically like 5 minutes ago, I completed uploading all the videos for today, which is November 9th, 2025. And the playlist is in chronological order, but the way that I literally published them, I think I did the Ontario police beginning to stalk me using helicopter during the 6 p.m. hour. That one was published before I got to the videos during the 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. hour. But on the playlist, if you look at them from the playlist perspective, they'll be published in chronological order. But as you look at the videos on YouTube, everything is published for today. But it's actually good that you see it that way, because you'll see what Amazon is doing under the fake sun. You'll see the Ontario Police Department stalking me by helicopter as I publish that video, and then you'll see the evidence of what happened earlier in the day, where you're seeing the fake sun that's still over me for the entirety of that day at the bus stop where I'm capturing the fake sunrise. And then as I go to that same church at 11 in the morning, that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, almost 12. That's almost 5 hours later. The fake sun is over me, at the same address. And then the entity is engaged in stalking by helicopter while I'm on the same street, and I'm showing you that pattern. The fake sun's reflecting off of the 280 North Lehman Apartments window. The fake sun is over me while I'm facing the 280 North Lehman Apartments at 8:55 in the morning. This is, as I'm publishing that video, the demons that are gang stalking me with Amazon Prime start using helicopter to terrorize and threaten me as I publish that damning evidence. And then that damning evidence is published with more video documentation of that Ontario Police Department stalking me, keeping me under surveillance, and doing so in the midst of an investigation which is showing their real-time engagement in stalking me. This is the entity that's engaging in that. So the entity is stalking by planes. That's why I'm capturing this. 8:26 p.m. right now, so this is at 8:24 p.m. The Ontario International Airport has been maintaining plane activity. What the Ontario Police Department did, this is exactly what the the City of Ontario International Airport continuously is doing. As I as I publish the videos, the entity will engage in what is ongoing stalking by planes. And their purpose behind that is to engage in monitoring me. And so since they can't stop me from documenting and prosecuting them, they'll engage in more harassment, stalking by plane, while I'm publishing the video. And the hope in a psychopath's mind is that while I am still going to publish the evidence, I'll stop for 2 seconds and document you, and then that'll stop me from publishing the evidence, and you'll never see, and the investigation's going to end. They're not going to be prosecuted. You'll never witness this exposure. They're not going to be judged by God. The Nephilim are going to suffer a judgment that's already written in Scripture. All of that's going to end if they stop for 2.5 minutes to be documented stalked by plane. That's the entity's pattern of conduct. The mentally ill that are gang stalking. The demon-possessed are those that are engaging in criminal conduct for which are going to be prosecuted and committed for. And the mentally ill are literally interested in, well, if I can slow the internet down for 32 seconds, that's 32 seconds longer that I get to live. If I can get her to, and remember, the entity's not controlling anything. I'm the one that's maintaining an investigation. I'm the one that's exposing you. I'm the one that's prosecuting you. So while you engage in criminal activity and you're being prosecuted for it, you're not controlling anything. The entities engage in what is, again, psychopathic. You seek negative attention. You seek negative attention from engaging in sexual violence. You seek negative attention from engaging in what is criminal activity. You seek negative attention from engaging and practicing psychological torture. Those are the demons that are stalking as an airport and stalking as a police department and stalking as a population. The entities maintain that for the past several hours. It's 8:28 p.m. right now. The entity's been maintaining ongoing plane activity like I'm already documenting. I've always been documenting. That did not change. I captured image of it. This is where the entity's maintaining that plane activity, not flying over the Wells Fargo. Flying over the Wells Fargo when I'm standing north of Wells Fargo. The entity's not flying over Holt Boulevard. There are no flights that are taking off from the airport that will include hovering over Holt Boulevard, like what I'm subject to when that airport is stalking me while I am at Holt Boulevard. This is the entity that's engaging in what is stalking by planes in furtherance of murder, stalking in furtherance of the intent to obstruct justice, which is a criminal offense in violation of an ongoing federal case, interfering with that federal case while you are seeking to conspire to murder. So they're trying to interfere while continuously engaging in the conspiracy to murder. This is why Jason Isaac Fields is going to prison, and he will never be anything other than a criminal defendant and going down in history as a part of the Nephilim, a co-conspirator of what is seeking to murder me with the government, and also one that's been engaged in the obsessive monitoring and stalking of my vagina. And that's exactly how every woman needs to identify him. He's a threat to children. He's a threat to women. He's a threat to himself. And he is an unstable psychopath that engaged in that conduct and is still engaged in what is the practice of witchcraft. That's not going to save him from the judgment that God has already stated is the case for him. This is somebody that's monitoring in the spirit. He's a demon, and you all need to know that. And I'm going to prosecute him. He's going to prison. He's not going to avoid that because of the ongoing real-time threat to my life. That is him and his sex partner, Tracy Banks, and every other demon that defamed my character, that engaged in kidnapping me, that engaged in criminal summoning and furtherance of kidnapping me, and is still engaging in gang stalking as I'm documenting you wearing a police uniform, as I'm documenting you gang stalking in planes and helicopters. This is P.O.C. (8:30 p.m.) Amplified plane activity. And what you're going to remember is what UPS is doing, dipping behind the amphitheater today. This entity is going to federal prison for stalking in planes and helicopters. This is P.O.C. 8:30 p.m. Okay, that's stalking by that same airport, 8:33 p.m. None of this is published on the website. Also, the entity is maintaining ongoing serial flight. Doing so, what's inspiring their stalking now? The mentally ill engage in more of their stalking activity while they are monitoring what is the evidence of the what you'll see, the screenshot of stalking by the airport. You will see the screenshot showing UPS hovering at what is 4:41 p.m. Remember, there's only one airport in Ontario, and the one airport in Ontario where the entity's acting like they're taking off at the Ontario Airport Inn along G Street while I'm standing facing the courtyard at that venue, and the entity is rising in elevation like they're taking off from right there. The entity is engaging in what is feigning as though they're taking off at 1630 East Holt Boulevard, where the entity is right there at what is Holt Boulevard, rising in elevation like they're taking off right there. I'm at the Ontario Town Square. The Ontario International Airport is located at 2500, excuse me, the terminals, 2500 Airport Drive. 2900 Airport Drive. That's where those terminals are. And if you drive up to the airport, you'll see the areas, and it's clearly, you can see where the planes are parked. That's where the airport is. There's no landing here, but UPS is hovering like they're about to land right there in the parking lot behind the Ontario Town Square. This is at 4:39 p.m. And I'm contrasting that with what you can see with regard to the entity that is stalking like they are now at a heightened elevation. This is supposed to be both an arrival and or a takeoff. So when you're doing either or, you're rising up in elevation in the same manner that you would be landing, even though let's just entertain it, because there's no landing over here. The entities engaged in conduct as though they are landing, but they do so in an inconsistent manner. That's because the demons never planned to, the government never had any idea that they were going to be making this make it look like it's not targeting me, which is impossible with regard to the fake sun documentation. But with regard to the operations of an airport, it's also going to be impossible. But even with regard to on the surface using my documentation alone, the entity is hovering heightened in elevation. That's still hovering conduct, but it's much more heightened in elevation when you're feigning a takeoff. Where are you taking off from when you're flying at a heightened elevation? And don't forget the other plane that's in the video that I captured at 4:39 p.m. where there's no plane activity at all. But this is what the entities mean. You have all manner of vacillation with regard to the same terminals that you would be taking. That's the same distance. So you're talking about discretion with regard to taking off and landing at different elevations, different level of activity. This is an entity that's engaged in what is a variety of behaviors, which is all stalking under the fake sun and in the engineered environment surveillance, pursuant to surveillance while they are witnessing my providing common sense analysis to stalking using commercial planes. Hovering over the Ontario Town Square is stalking, and there is no airport where you're hovering like you're about to land right here. In addition, when you're about to land and the airport's right here, why are you hovering at a heightened elevation as though you just took off? That's not where you just took off elevation. It's inconsistent with regard to what is supposedly a landing and what will be supposedly a takeoff right here. In addition to that, the entity's engaging in this while I'm documenting video today. You're going to look at the videos that I connected. This is how you're looking. I'm giving a summary again because this is when you're getting into the federal prosecution in court, where the analysis proven that this entity, they're a bunch of they're imbeciles, and I'm going to prosecute them. In other words, but the entity is doing this while they're looking at all the analysis. You're hovering over me at Starbucks. You're hovering over me at the Stater Brothers. You're hovering over like you're taking off at the 1801 East G Street Ontario Airport Inn Hotel. They're doing so while I'm at the Ramada by Wyndham as well, while I'm on G Street. They're engaging in hovering over my hotel room at Economy Inn, flying over it. I'm inside of my hotel room. I've documented the entity interfering with what is my supposed to be, as a patron, a peaceful hotel stay with plane activity. I'm capturing them flying over my room. That has nothing to do with what is landing over here at the Ontario Town Square, because it's not separate. There's only one airport. Okay, there's two terminals. The entity's engaging in this flight stalking and pursuant to the mental illness. Okay, stalking me by helicopter pursuant to the mental illness, as I document Amazon gang stalking me. The entity's doing so at outside of also what is the schedule. The schedule that's showing is that the flights from the Ontario International Airport is that which is, let me see, occurring at, I just captured those screenshots. The entity under no circumstances is gang stalking me pursuant to that schedule. The entity is engaged in gang stalking. So at 9:15, it's currently 8:32 p.m. That's where Southwest Airlines flight number WN3984 is scheduled to fly to Las Vegas. Southwest Airlines is routinely documented gang stalking, and a flight to Las Vegas would not be going in the direction west over Ontario Town Square. The entity is engaged in the pattern of conduct of gang stalking. That noise that you hear in the background are the demons that are monitoring while they're fearful of the truth that I speak. They are always engaging in that, and that's what they did by helicopter, flying over my head and flying in circles around me, and that's what they're doing right now, flying in planes. And all I'm doing is show you the inconsistency where demons are unintelligent and all they're doing is stalking me, and I'm the leader leading them to prison. prison. It is 8:39 p.m. They're doing so with the people. The airport's stalking and it's exposing the people who are going to prison with them. The police department is stalking and it's exposing the people who are going to prison with them. This is the exposure of the conspiracy to commit murder and the exposure of mental illness, which is going to be used to diagnose the gang stalkers, the Nephilim. This is P.O.C. I'm going to publish this screenshot showing you the entity hovering over like a psychopath, this is a psychopath that's stalking me in a UPS plane. And then the entity is engaged in what is hovering. And then you have this inconsistent, well, if you're landing right here, that means you're taking off right here. And why are you at such a heightened elevation doing so like you are every other day? Okay, under the fake sun that's rising and setting here. While you are engaged in stalking with the police. Where the police are stalking, the city of Ontario is stalking, and so is the population. The entity's criminal pattern of conduct is exposing each other. The Ontario Police Department is exposed while the Ontario International Airport is stalking pursuant to the pattern of conduct. But nonetheless, I'm going to post that screenshot and the stalking by the Ontario International Airport onto X, and I'll share that onto Facebook and everything, just with regard to including it on my podcast, because this is evidence that's going to be easily identifiable and used as exhibits, exposing and showing that analysis, prosecuting the government for clear identification of stalking, targeting me, using the resources of the government, of the city of Ontario to do so. P.O.C. At 9:19 p.m., the moment that I began processing on my phone, so the moment that it's consumed in a task, this is when a demon is stalking with the commercial plane over the Ontario Town Square at the elevation that I'm always documenting, hovering over the center of the property. And I was reminding you about what you saw UPS engaging in today, and it's relevant to the analysis that I provided, to the videos that I published to YouTube about the entity stalking in planes and the entity that's perpetually hovering all throughout the city as I provided that analysis. Then you have UPS hovering like you're about to land right behind the amphitheater right here. But if that means you're landing at the airport, like I stated earlier, why are you hovering at a different elevation when you would have taken off from the same airport that you're landing at behind this Ontario Town Square, where there is no airport? But nonetheless, the entity doing so at 9:19 p.m. while I am in use at the moment that I go into processing the podcast, stalking by plane. Okay, the people of the state are demons. They're over here, ha ha ha. They're pacing all around, stalking in impossible light. These are the demons that are engaged in that pattern of conduct. These are the entity of demons that are sharing and stalking together. I'm going to go ahead and capture it right now. This is the stalking conduct that I was just describing. The entity repeats it in real time. This is the pattern of conduct. That's UPS. And UPS hovering behind the amphitheater today as though they're landing. There's no airport from 2500 Airport Drive. And the entity's engaging in this conduct with regard to listening to me document the fact that they are stalking, and the psychopaths engage in stalking in real time while they are being documented for it. Again, this is the direct evidence of a stalker. You document a stalker engages in more threatening conduct, then you're just going to prosecute for that. But this is the significance of diagnosing mental illness. The entities engaged in that pattern. I want to show you, this is the engineered environment. So this is the P.O.C. There's my shadow at a distance over here. Oops, let me zoom outside. This is my shadow. You see that shape over here? Let me move. That's my head. That's me. That's impossible light activity. My shadow at a distance away from me. The entity's engaged in, and here's my shadow that's behind me on the thing. This is the entity that's engaged in what is hovering over this property in real time as I speak to the fact that you're stalking and you engage in stalking in real time. This is where the entity is stalking under a fake sun. You are stalking, and the entity engages in what is keeping a fake sun at the same town square where UPS is engaging in what is clearly in real time clarifying the fact that they are stalking me. That's the entity that is clarifying the fact that they are engaged in the conspiracy to murder me, and they're doing so with impunity. That airport is being shut down. The gang stalkers of that airport are going to be prosecuted along with the terrorists of the Ontario Police Department. That airport is the same one that's engaged in repeatedly kidnapping me with that police department. When the entity engages in kidnapping, the demons of that airport engage in hovering in planes while they are psychopaths who are engaged in monitoring me. Monitoring is demonic behavior. They do so in the engineer light. which is present, doing so as I'm showing you the fake sun. And UPS is the specific gang stalking airline, but that's the airport that's engaged in criminal surveillance. And the entity is doing so. I want to be clear, this communication of a threat to in real, I've already spoken to the entity that has that schedule of takeoff, Southwest Airlines. You're talking about 9:15 to Las Vegas. You're not flying west towards Town Square. Las Vegas is in this direction. And not only that, no takeoffs from 2500 Airport Drive. 2 or 4 of those terminals, 2 or 4, includes hovering right here. Okay, and the greater context is you're looking at the behavior of the entity engaged in targeting me as a police department, engaged in what is stalking with the impossible light activity in concert with the people of the state. That's the entity of demons that are using the commercial airline planes. UPS is very much, I just want to be clear, they committed, this airline company, the people of the state that are gang stalking in California, this entity committed murder in Kentucky. Okay, and this is the mental illness, this is the impunity with which they commit murder. It is currently 9:25 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, as you hear me speaking to on the, I was capturing video right now, and the entity is engaged in what is stalking in video. I'm going to publish that video. But while I'm still speaking right now, I spoke to what I published, which was a screenshot of what the airport is revealing regarding flights. And at 9:15 Southwest Airlines, flight number WN3984, that was a UPS plane that engaged in repeating the hovering. These are psychopaths. You have a large size of pride, very small IQ. Okay, that's what stalking with regard to engaging criminal conduct that companies are going to pay for, that people are going to be prosecuted for, including the people that are in these planes. This is why you have this conduct that's very brazen activity, but it's very foolish activity. The entity is in real time engaging in what is not coincidental, and it's also outside of what's published. I captured it on video. 9:15 p.m. Southwest Airlines, the next flight with regard to a takeoff is at 10:25 p.m. Delta Airlines, and that would be flight number DL828. That also is nothing that would be hovering over the Ontario Town Square, and any flights that UPS has, they're, as I've paid attention, not assigned to a terminal. For example, like Delta Airlines, the entity is engaged in what is flights from this the same airport. However, no flights that are taking off are engaging in what is hovering over me in the same way that I've shown you. And the entity is engaging in this hovering conduct everywhere in the city of Ontario. So they're, like I stated, hovering over my hotel room, UPS in particular, hovering over Economy Inn, terrorizing me at 7:15 in the morning at 2301 South Euclid Avenue, where the fake sun I documented rising and setting at that hotel. UPS is one of those airlines in that video, flying over the center of that hotel building, flying in the direction south, in doing so while I'm capturing that fake sun. That's, again, relevant to the fake sun that's rising over me at this Ontario Town Square, but that's only when I'm here, because when I'm not, and I stay at the Ontario Airport Inn, where the two are not happening at the same time, like the sun's not over Cardenas while it's over the Ontario Town Square, where this entity, the Ontario Police, this entity is stalking. The entity is engaged in what is deviating with regard to that unnatural environment where that airport, and particularly UPS, that's on video that you just heard, repeating the conduct in real time. These are, again, very proud psychopaths that are engaged in conduct. Pride is not with regard to anything that they're accomplishing. Pride is demons that are hostile to being told that you're not going to do something, told that you're going to be prosecuted, but you are going to be prosecuted, and you're already facing that prosecution. This is conduct that everyone else is going to be suffering the consequences for, including the brazen conduct where you are engaging in stalking me. That brazen conduct, that's impunity under the law, and that's impunity with regard to stalking, which is unlawful. There is no law that says that you cannot prosecute for stalking, even when it's using planes and helicopters. It is just that the government and stalking in that matter has never been identified or proven, and I'm showing how that is fully underway. In addition to the absence of any coincidence in an environment where science is proving that you are targeting a specific person, that's documenting that phenomenon following them around, which is clearly not the sun that's not going to follow you, like I've been documenting that environment following. That's where the entity, including UPS, is following, and UPS committed murder in the state of Kentucky with that same brazen impunity. Okay, they did that in real time. And by the way, on the Ontario website, the entity published that at 9:15 Southwest, which is not going to be any flight in this direction west, Las Vegas, Nevada is in the opposite direction. Not only that, regardless of the direction, because the entity's done that before with Delta Airlines. Delta Airlines is next on the schedule, and then the entity will have Delta Airlines fly over. When they're surveying my documentation of them stalking me, no flights from the airport are hovering over this property. And that is not just what is already known. That's going to be an established fact in the court case prosecuting and what's going to result in shutting down that airport. But nonetheless, that's what the entity did. And I just wanted to share that extra detail. The next flight is published online. This is all going to be uploaded to the Google Drive. You can see it because this is relevant to prosecuting. And you're going to prosecute co-conspirators of murder. These are serial killers that are stalking in planes. And the exhibit A is what the mass murder in Kentucky. The entity that's gang stalking me is the entity that crashes planes and kills people, and they're not accidents. They're monitoring me, they're listening to every word that I state, and then they engage in more of it. And they're doing it with the demons that you see practicing the supernatural. Stalking with impossible light is concerted conduct with stalking me with planes. These are monitoring demons that also engage in kidnapping me. They've conspired my murder, kidnapping with that police department, engaging in psychological torture, sexual violence, and criminal stalking using these airlines that are domestic enemies in this country. P.O.C. The demons of the Ontario police are crossing path, driving in the direction north at 9:31 p.m., listening to every word that I state. They're listening to me expose the fact that they're going to prison because the criminal conduct of that airport is going to serve to prosecute them. Demons like Burtnick, they're going to prison. This is P.O.C.
Okay. What were they doing? I came to your home. Let's see.
9:31 p.m.
What were they doing?
Delta Airlines is scheduled at 10:25 p.m.
You investigated, honey.
Flight number DL 828.
I feel like now your home is being watched. It's like these thieves had a lot to say about you, and it was all lies. Okay.
Alrighty, that's the entity that's hovering over the Ontario Town Square. And what UPS is doing is hovering behind the amphitheater, as I documented at 4:39 p.m. Doing so while you can see the engine or light, they're stalking where the fake sun is rising and setting. And the entity's engaging in what is repeatedly engaging in that psychopathic pacing. This is mental illness that is exhibited by stalkers that are using commercial planes. This is the government that's stalking me. In other words, okay? And the government stalking with a population of mentally ill. This is the conduct of the Nephilim. These are demons that are very highly unintelligent. But I want to be clear, this is state action. That unintelligence is a threat to your life. So that unintelligence is accumulating what is time in federal prison. Gang stalking pilots, gang stalking police officers are going to prison. Kidnappers alike. Those that are acting with that government to kidnap, which is what the people of the state have committed, they're all going to prison. They're going to federal prison. So I just want to be clear, corrupt officials like Jason Fields, gang stalking me with Tracy Banks, defaming my character, engaging in surveillance, and doing so helping her engage in what is targeting me. He's going to prison for this. And engaging in what is, I don't care what you call yourself doing, you don't get to unilaterally change, and as though you're going to forgive your own sins and then cover up it or make up for the criminal acts that you've already committed. You're going to federal prison. I'm capturing the evidence that is putting Jason Isaac Fields in federal prison. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. This is the criminal pattern of conduct that he engaged in, that he solicited with his sex partner. The one that he was fully engaged in supporting, in the same way that he was fully engaged in sexual activity with her, targeting me in furtherance of murder to cover up the criminal acts that she and him have committed against me. It's directly relevant to UPS stalking, to the government stalking, and a population of psychopaths stalking. He's going to prison. He's going to federal prison, and there is no federal official that's going to, you get out of that because you hand over a little bit of information that's not too incriminating to yourself. He's going to prison. And this is a pathetic demon, just like these that are stalking in planes. Very pathetic. Monitoring my vagina, using commercial planes to do that. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged in that. It's 9:34 p.m. The entity is doing so, listening to me, stalking, listening to me, stalking, listening to me, stalking. That's what's relevant behind the entity's mental illness. And you are witnessing their mental illness with the impossible light activity. You're witnessing their mental illness with the stalking with planes and helicopters and with the amplified noise. That's not Union Pacific that would be heard. In the same way that it's not a takeoff, you can hear that. That's the exaggerated audible activity. This is an entity that's engaging in that. That's the mentally ill that are engaging in that pattern of conduct. So this is, I just want to be clear on that. That's the mental illness that's behind the demon-possessed that have engaged in surveillance, that are engaged in what is surveillance in the very demented ways, such as under a fake sun. That amplified noise is demonic activity. And that demonic activity is relevant to assessing the mental illness of those that are engaged in stalking. Stalking the target individual that is documenting it is a fail with regard to the clear deviation with regard to the way that the law works, with the laws which provide the entity the authority to engage in surveillance, with regard to having the grounds to do that in the first place. When you've already stolen my money and property, you don't have jurisdiction to engage in surveillance, and there is no retroactive way of legitimizing that by defaming me after you've committed that crime. This is what Jason Isaac Fields is engaged in. He's going to prison. So is Tracy Banks. They're going to federal prison while I'm showing you what the government's been doing the whole time. And the government actors, they're going to be prosecuted. And I'm going to prosecute those that are directly engaged in that, stalking in the planes, stalking in the helicopters, stalking in the library, and summoning that government while they're engaged in gang stalking surveillance the whole time. They're going to federal prison as well. Okay, it is currently 9:36 p.m. That's P.O.C. That train activity is not the product of Union Pacific on the railroads. I'm taking a picture of where I'm at, where the entity is hovering. They are flying over the apartment complex of the 280 North Lemon Apartments. The entity is engaged in what is amplified noise while they are monitoring what it is that I'm stating. The entity is engaged in what is plane activity. That's the same monitoring system. This is what an entity is doing while you're looking at what is the impossible light activity, for example, inside of the parking garage. While you're looking at, you're mindful of the entity that's stalking in planes and helicopters. While you're looking at, what you're not forgetting is the entity that is hovering over me while flying over the top of my head at the OVITT Family Community Library, at the Tapor Professional Building, while I'm at the bus stop of F Street and Euclid Avenue, flying over my head at every location where I'm at, doing so while I'm at the Chevron, stalking me, and doing so while I'm publishing evidence online. The entity clearly targeting in the ways in which I've shown. Not only that, the Ontario International Airport hovering and stalking, flying over my head while I'm at the Economy and by the 60 freeway, where they're acting like they're taking off right here over the town square. And that's because of the analysis that I published today. The airport is engaged in what is uniform flight. Pilots are trained. I don't have to be a pilot to know that. You're engaged in, you're not flying planes however you want to, endangering people's lives. You are trained as a pilot, you take off, and they are operating through a uniform manner. That's why they communicate with each other through those walkie-talkies, through the tower. They're maintaining uniform practices and protocol. These demons are engaged in all manner of vacillating and elevation, as though you're just engaged in any sort of wacky conduct with regard to, oh, well, it doesn't matter if I'm hovering at this elevation because I can fly even lower to the ground. But no, you're not. You're engaging in what is conduct from an airport. So if one is taking off at low elevation, why is the other one at a heightened elevation and you don't even hear that plane activity? Why are other planes flying at a heightened elevation when you can barely even see the plane if you're all coming from the same airport? Okay, this is an entity that, and there's only one airport in Ontario, but this is the pattern of conduct. This is an entity that it's, again, trying to individualize it, if you will. It's not individualized. The pattern of conduct is shared by LAX. The pattern of conduct is shared by the Los Angeles Police Department. The pattern of conduct is shared by the people of the state and other counties and states that are stalking me with impossible light. In places where I've never been, where I went and stayed in a hotel, and the stalking with impossible light activity, the stalking by planes and helicopters is shared, while the fake sun is over the top of my head, which is not going to be the sun that's next to this clock at the Ontario Town Square. That's what stalking at the same time that I'm talking about stalking me by planes, doing it in real time. They committed murder in Kentucky using a UPS brand in particular. I just want to be clear on that. Demons like Jason Isaac Fields are going to federal prison, sharing in the conspiracy to commit murder, because that's what's behind the government stalking, using the airline companies, using the airports in the city, using the police departments and their heliports to engage in targeting you. These demons are frustrated, and their frustration is being documented. The entities engaging in what is gang stalking me, trying to hit me with their cars while I'm documenting them. Jason Isaac Fields is going to federal prison. So is Tracy Banks. But all of her sex partners, however many are in the military and are in law enforcement, they're going to prison for conspiring my murder. And then thinking that surveilling me was going to result in my being defamed when you had no authority under the law to keep me under surveillance in the first place. And surveillance of another will always result in you being prosecuted, not an American citizen being defamed. That is not the practice of medicine, nor is that the practice of law. That's not even logical. That's how this corrupt gang stalking system operates. Jason Fields is going to prison. It is currently 9:39 p.m. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, with regard to analysis, what you're paying attention to, this is the demon possessed and the corrupt entity. There is no level of corruption that's going to, in a federal court, when you're looking at the evidence of the pattern of conduct, this entity is very unintelligent. So you're talking about the totality of the pattern of conduct, but literally the tactic of the demons is that you engage in what is the abnormality of the pattern of conduct, and as you continuously engage in that abnormality, that is establishing that there's nothing weird or suspect about it because we're routinely practicing that abnormality. Engaging in what is hovering over the Ontario Town Square is clear evidence of targeting, and they're targeting in the specific environment, which is also evidence of targeting. It is doing so pursuant to the targeting that's also shared by the City of Ontario, the Fire Department, and the Police Department. The entities engaging in that abnormality in real time as I'm describing it. They're entities doing so amongst the people of the state who are surrounded with evidence of engaging in the abnormality of stalking with light, stalking as a population as well. The entity is engaging in this conduct of stalking when planes, hovering over the property, and the entity's tactic is to just engage in repeating it. So they'll do it 13 times more. And that is their tactic. And remember, they're demented. That's not. It will always be. That's like stating, I'm murdering someone and it's not a crime, so I'm going to go murder somebody else, and I'm going to murder another person. I'm going to murder another person. I do this all the time. We do this all the time. It's not murder. It's still going to remain a crime. The government's tactic is that to engage in what is criminal activity because you have not been prosecuted for it before, because you have not been prosecuted for it before, does not make it the fact that it's not a crime, and that it doesn't become normal because you are stating we're going to do this over and over and over again, and it's not that's psychotic. That's the entity's tactic, though. This is what they try to do with helicopter activity. This is how I have over 8,000 videos of the entity stalking me, and a large portion of it is stalking by police departments using helicopters, clearly identifying, targeting me, because I've shown the supernatural over my head. That's the entity's tactic. That tactic is outdated. You are documenting a pattern of conduct of stalking. The more you stalk me, the more evidence I have of you stalking. As you're stalking, by proving what is not happening when you're taking off from the airport, it's not going to be hovering over the amphitheater. You're not going to be hovering over this town square when you're taking off from the airport. And that's not just a matter of my opinion. That is going to be relevant in the court case I'm prosecuting on the internet. The entity's tactic, these demons that are unintelligent, they're just corrupt. They are accustomed to stating, people that have commit crimes, we're going to decide to not charge them for crimes. We're going to let them get away with crimes. They're, in other words, accustomed to getting away with that which is corrupted, which is unlawful. That's not happening here. So you're looking at them engaging in what is criminal. It's very clear, and in court, I'm going to prosecute for what is very clear. And they're engaging in that because that's the rationale. That's what the demon-possessed are programmed by. But that's not the program this time. And I'm prosecuting for clear targeting. The entity's doing so also pursuant to what is years of evidence that they're not thinking about, because they are working from an overinflated and delusional sense of self. These are egos that are not even based on reality. You're a murderer and a thief and a liar. You're not intelligent. You're not cunning. You're not some overarching thinker that's got some bigger plan. They don't at all. They're stalking in the moment. They're hearing what I'm stating, and they engage in a lot of knee-jerk conduct, and I document it because the bigger plan is to show the greater picture that they've been stalking for years, and that's what's already established. I want to make sure that that's clear. That's what's behind stalking in that clear, obvious manner, which is clear stalking in court. And it's not going to change because the government did it thousands of times. It's evidence of the government stalking me for a prolonged period of time. That's what it is, and that's what it remains, and that's how the law is also going to treat criminal activity. The government does not make criminal activity legitimate because it does it over and over again. P.O.C. It's 9:47 p.m.
These are the pathetic losers, the Ontario fake police department. These are a bunch of effeminate, demons who are very much intimidated by me, and they spend thousands of dollars monitoring my vagina. These are not men. These are not police officers either. They're very pathetic and they're scared of me. That's why they use things like helicopters. And I am larger in character and I'm larger in power than they are while they're stalking me. They're going to prison and they're going to be regularly mentally examined. This is the entity that is nonetheless stalking, and this is the criminal activity that's putting a whole circuit of people in prison as well. The entity is stalking. Let me show you the fake moon. They fly over the top of my head. This fake moon follows me to the bus stop at 537 North Euclid Avenue in the same way that those demons of the Ontario Police follow me to the bus stop, where also that fake sun rises over me and remains at this Ontario Town Square all day long and sets here. Okay, those are, again, that's not a man. That could be a female, but I'm guessing that that's an effeminate male that's stalking who's severely mentally ill. Okay, wearing diapers. They don't get to go use the bathroom. They don't take no bathroom breaks because they are always watching me and monitoring my vagina, masturbating, engaging in sex rituals, engaging in all manner of satanic conduct while they're stalking, and engaging in what is failed witchcraft. And that failed witchcraft is why they're going to be subject to mental examinations. This is the direct evidence of stalking by a police department. This is the direct evidence of stalking by that airport. Okay? This is the pattern of conduct that the people of the state are sharing in as well. And here's my shadow over here, while these effeminate boys are stalking in a helicopter, and they're doing so with the entity that's engaged in surveillance over there. You see that demon in that truck with their vehicle lights on? They're engaged in monitoring while the police are flying over. And they're engaging in that in concert with the people of the state that are stalking in traffic, parked along Euclid Avenue, gang stalking at the traffic lights as well. This is the P.O.C. while they're stalking at the square as well. This is the P.O.C. All right, you have what is the entity stalking with impossible light. Those are the demons. Serious Regis is going to be prosecuted. Okay, that's the demon possessed that are together monitoring. This is the POC. This is the entity these are not men. Mike LORENZ is not a man. He's a diaper wearing, vagina monitoring, effeminate demon. He's obsessed with me, and he is very much intimidated and fearful of me, because the demons that he summons up are not more powerful than the authority that I speak on with regard to him going to prison, because that's exactly where he's going. And these little girls of the Ontario Police Department will never have anything to do with law enforcement. You can mark my words. These little girls are done with law enforcement. This is POC. It is currently 10:12 p.m. Alrighty, this is documentation of demons, sex offenders. License plate 8MMW627, stalking in the path. Shadows on both sides of the car. They're molesting an engineer light. That's a sex offense. License 9TOK058 commits the same sex offense as these demons in Gaston number 5. Molesting, and this is with the Ontario Police. The cowards, the diaper-wearing girls that are stalking in helicopters, they do so for an additional like 15, 20 minutes begging me for attention. The entities engaged in what is this conduct with the demon-possessed people of the state who will commit sexual violence and furtherance of murder. That's the airport that's stalking. Okay, acting like they're taking off over the town square at the amphitheater, and then you have what is varying in that elevation. They're doing so while psychopaths are molesting with engineer light. While you have the in sexual violence, they do so with the gang stalkers of the Ontario Police. 9RM H124, molesting pursuant to stalking. Okay, government. That's the audible activity of sex offenders that are molesting, and the entity, I want to be clear, is engaged in this. While I told you the Ontario Police are stalking, that fake moon follows as I move, where stalkers are following, and they're molesting with impossible light activity. This is sexual violence that the cowards, that the diaper-wearing girls that are stalking me in helicopters that would like to be considered a police department, they're not. They're the Nephilim. They're sex offenders that are vagina-monitoring gargoyles, and their engagement in stalking me continued. I just want to be clear, after I captured that video, doing so again for like another 15, 20 minutes as I literally ignore them. And they engage in ongoing stalking by helicopter at the Ontario Town Square, and the crime scene where the demons are stalking follows me, just like the fake sun during the day. This is ARCO. I'm going to prosecute ARCO as a sex offender. I'm going to prosecute Chevron as a sex offender. I'm going to prosecute the state. But this is the venue where the entities engage in that. And this is the sexual violence by Mike LORENZ. The demons that engage in ongoing stalking by helicopter, those demons that wear diapers, fly off and run away when I capture them on video, for them to repeat the same thing. I want to be clear, when they're stalking me at the bus stop, your headlights are not going to be reaching over. They're demons. And these sex offenders are going to be identified by name. They're going to be prosecuted. And they're all being deported. Those that are not immigrant, those that are immigrants, they're all being deported. All of them. This is POC. This is all state action. Okay? This demon's over here flinging his hair like a girl, and he's molesting me with light. That's a demon. They're of all races. They're stalkers. All of them are stalkers. This is the Nephilim. This is P.O.C. It is currently 1117 434 North Euclid Avenue. Chevron, 506 North Euclid Avenue. The amplified train activity is in the specific environment where my shadow, you see this? 1, 2. Unit Pacific is not at that volume. That's a means of facilitating. The public is engaged in monitoring. The public is full of demons. This is P.O.C. That's the entity that's stalking by plane and helicopter. Those are the diaper-wearing stalkers. Mike Lorenz is, I want to be clear, he is a pansy. I'm gonna call it what it is. This is not a man. That's a demon. And they're intimidated. And there are a bunch of females stalking me because they're intimidated by me. And they're still going to prison. This is mental illness exhibited by those demons who are proven to be stalking in the most absurdly demented ways. And the conduct of the people of the state is putting demons like Lorenz and every kidnapper of that agency that I document them stalking me under the fake sun, engaging in this conspiracy, they're going to federal prison. This is P.O.C.